Welcome to Heist. I'm Bradley Hackworth, joined by Jonathan Ems, otherwise known as Doc.
Hello, fellow humans.
And this week we are going to be covering Tropic Thunder and Mother Night. Two films, one starring Nick Nolte, the other one with Nick Nolte. But oh my god, what an incredible double feature to showcase the incredible range of Nick Nolte.
Which is not something
wow.
that you hear a lot of people say for some reason. Like it's weird how this guy was like a major, name for a while, but nowadays you don't hear a lot of people sitting there going like, "Man, I could really go for a Nick Nolte movie." Like it's always a
They're
pleasant
all kind
surprise
of
when he's
heavy.
in one, but yeah,
But the one thing about Nick Nolte, he fully commits.
he really does.
Like, as I was watching this, I was listing off some of his credits, and I was like, and the Hulk's dad in the Ang Lee Hulk movie. But then I thought about him in that movie. I was like, no, he fully committed on that one. Like, he went all the way in on that.
Yeah.
You want to start with Tropic Thunder? You want to start with Mother Night?
I mean, I feel like if we end on Mother Night, it's going to be on a downer note. So maybe we should start with Mother Night, and then after we've bummed everyone out, then we can lift their spirits again with Tropic Thunder.
We can go for that route. We can see how that works. All
well,
right.
What was your take? What was your take on that?
I honestly wasn't even sure. Like
Okay. Then.
I know like formulaic like to go with it. There is a right way and a wrong way and stuff like that. Grab them and then depress them. Like, but I don't know. I don't know if it so much matters, you know? We'll see how it goes.
Okay. All right. In that case, let's talk Nazis. Let's see what the algorithm does to us now that we keep talking about Nazis. We were talking about China before, and now all of a sudden we've got a Chinese audience. What the fuck is this going to do to us?
Well, it's not Twitter, so I mean,
fair point.
X.
Fair point. We should be okay. Yeah.
If we were doing this on X, we might we might get some Highland, but that's not what we're doing. So I need to adjust here and get myself down to Mother Night. All right. Oh, I did it again. I watched Mother Night twice, and I still didn't finish the starring.
There's a lot of people in it.
I just got caught up. And also, I don't agree with who it stars.
Really?
Well, yeah, it says it stars Sheryl Lee, but she's not really in the movie that much. Alan Arkin is in the movie more than she is.
Yeah, but didn't Alan Arkin get like a? No, I guess he didn't. I guess he was just listed. He didn't get an end featuring Alan Arkin like he usually does.
Yeah. So, like, kind of wasn't really sure about that, but all right, you ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Mother Night, directed by Keith Gordon, written by Kurt Vonnegut Jr. and Robert B. Weide, based on the novel by Kurt Vonnegut, starring Nick Nolte, Sheryl Lee, Tony Rainbow, Michael McGill, Alan Arkin. Trying to do it like this, but I could do this. With Kirsten Dunst, John Goodman, Alan Arkin, David Strathairn, and Brawley Nolte.
Which let me just point out real quick ahead of time. It's not fair. It's so not fair to say this about a working actor like Kirsten Dunst. But if you ever needed a creepy Nazi child in your movie, Kirsten Dunst is the way to go.
You are 100% correct, and I actually have a note kind of like that in this, and it's weird that it was a pattern. Sorry. Forgot about one setting that I didn't quite get right. All right, you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Opening on some Bing Crosby singing White Christmas with post-World War II prison camp footage, I thought I should have changed that note when I went back to go watch it the second time.
Yeah, that was my first thought too. Was that it was like we're getting the irony of White Christmas playing to a World War II prison camp, but no, it turns out it's not a war prison camp. It's an Israeli prison where they're keeping Nazi
I
criminals
didn't
for
think it was
waiting their Nuremberg
ironic.
trials.
I didn't think it was
Hmm?
ironic. I thought it was a hat on a hat.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay.
I mean, dude, like I don't know how to not get crazy dark on this one, but I thought the White Christmas was a nod to the racism of the Nazis and wanting everything to be white, and I thought it was
Okay, yeah.
a
I see what you're
nod
saying.
to the ashes coming out of the concentration camps and the
Right.
snow not being snow. That's what I took away from that. And my heart was like, my stomach was in knots immediately because the symbolism
Right.
smacked me.
Right. But luckily that's not what you were looking at. Instead it was a a Nazi prison camp. They were all on awaiting trial for in Nuremberg for their war crimes. But
Uh,
it didn't look too much different. It was very brutalist, a lot of concrete. The Jeeps looked exactly the same. They were World War II era Jeeps they were bringing the prisoners in on. So it was a little misleading there, but probably intentionally.
okay, I can give you that. Um, we find out that we're in Haifa, Israel, in 1961, and he's given a typewriter to write his memoirs, and he has 3 weeks to write his memoirs before his trial. And I thought it was wildly incredible. Like, what a choice to
Mm,
have the current day be in black and white and all of the flashbacks be in color.
hmm
That that was an incredible decision. And then we cut we cut to a younger him gleefully writing derogatory terms for all minority groups. Dude, I'm not gonna lie, there was a big part of me that as I was watching this, I thought that this was a legitimate Nazi that had rationalized it and like convinced himself that he didn't do all the things that he did.
Right. Yeah.
My brain was twisted all the way until the end.
No, this whole movie is just one big huge mind fuck, and like to the point that like as much as I am a fan of Kurt Vonnegut's work and I've read a few of his books, I don't want to read this one because as fucked up as the movie was, I can only imagine how far the book takes it.
Apparently, this was set aside from Slaughterhouse-Five. This is the best adaptation of a Kurt Vonnegut novel. This is praised as what I just said. But I
Okay.
forgot to kind of really describe the main point of this movie. So just give me. I'm sorry, guys. This is about an American who lived in Germany who was hired by the American War Department to help spy and send messages through his broadcast. But the side
hmm
effect wound up being he was the voice of the Reich, and
Right.
he really like
It's
kicked it up because he did such a
y-
good job.
right. It's an interesting setup because basically his father worked for I think it was GE General Electric.
Yeah,
I can't
GE.
remember some. Yeah, big company that's got offices all over. And so even though he's American born, his family had to move to Germany to work at their German offices for a little while, and he decided to stay when he grew up, even though his parents moved back to the States because he just loved being in Germany so much. Found a girl, was a famous playwright writing plays in
Oh, he
German.
found a girl he was all about.
Right. Yeah. I mean, like the true blue love story going on there with these two. Um,
And oh, it melted
and
my
then,
heart
yeah. And
until,
then
you know,
as,
I realized that she actually was a Nazi. They never really said that. It's just implied because in his narration, he says, I never told her what I was doing. But she was all the
Well,
way
okay.
there, and she was all the way on board. She was flirting with the
Let me
Nazis, like she was doing all the
let we
things. So
we'll get back. We'll get back to that in a second. We still want to
okay,
kind
yeah,
of
yeah,
like
yeah.
establish what his story is
All
here,
right, all right.
and
I
okay,
just wanted to do the explanation over the film because I forgot to do that going in.
okay,
My bad. We cut back to the guard, knowing he's troubled because of how he sleeps, the names he calls out, all of this. And
mm,
he's alone in his regrets. Nobody else. Everybody knew they were doing the right thing. They knew they did what they had to do, all of this. And the guard takes no satisfaction in ending war criminals. Strapping down a criminal is the same as buckling a strap on a suitcase. What did you take away from that? Because I want to kind of talk about that.
I mean, that is a good question because it's he he he's basically saying like I take no pleasure in it, but also I have no guilt for it. It's just the thing that needs to be done. Is basically what he's saying,
I
and
took
he's
something
saying it to
different.
he's saying it to a guy that he genuinely believes he's going to be doing it to very soon, and that's kind of like it's almost weird. Like that's weirdly like, and I don't know if this is the intention of it or what, but it feels almost like they're trying to draw a parallel between the Nazi soldiers and the people who persecuted them once the war was over, which feels like a really dangerous kind of thing to say, I feel like.
No, I love this. I love this type of conversation. This is why movies are great. Like you want to know what the author was saying? Go read the book.
Right.
They will tell you. But when you watch the movie, you're able to throw some you're able to project your own perspective on these things.
Hmm.
What I was taking from this moment was all the like this was the guard basically saying, all those Jews, everything like that, I don't care about you. I'm not gonna celebrate you with honor for killing you. I'm not gonna think about you. I'm not gonna nope. When you die, you're dead.
Oh, okay.
Like
Right.
that was more like the
Like this isn't even a historical moment that after everything
yeah.
that you've done and now you're over, you don't even get to be a footnote in history. You're not even a footnote in my diary.
Because the guard didn't know. He didn't know who he
Hmm.
was. So
Right.
that's where I was taking it, where he was trying to get a dig on him, but Nolte didn't like it didn't land because that's not who the character was.
Right. Yeah.
So God, I love movies. Hyping his backstory, and we see him as a small child and getting whooped for looking at his dad's war photos or books in war
Right.
photos in his dad's
Yeah.
books.
They're photo books of World War One is what it looks like.
Yeah. Innocently moved from America to Berlin because of his father's company in 1919, which he was working for General Electric.
Hmm.
And like you were saying, becomes a playwright in German, marries the actress Helga Note. I'm saying that correctly.
North. I mean, it is the German word for north. Her name is Helga
It's
North.
Noth, and they kept
Yeah.
saying like note or no. I don't know. I don't speak German,
North.
so
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Helga North. There you go. The parents go back because they really see what is coming. They're against the Nazis. All this stuff, like they're very, very clear, and you can see
Hmm.
the sadness on their face. They're like, "Why isn't our son coming?" Like
Right.
that was my first hint. I'm like, dude, he
But
is.
yeah. Well, and I think that's kind of what's interesting because they even like because I mean, and this is not to excuse it, but it's kind of one of those like having been a family man once upon a time, I kind of get it. These two basically like they decide for themselves. Like he says in there, we are a nation of two. We are neither Germans, we are not Americans, we are each other, and that's it. And so, what's good for us is what we're gonna do. We don't care about anything else because it's all too crazy to figure out who the good guys are, who the bad guys are. So we're just going to take care of each other. And right now, taking care of each other means putting up with the Nazis that fund the plays that she gets to star in and he gets to write. And it's
Where
not
that is,
the most glamorous.
I do want to sing praise to that moment where the line that the nation of two. He is watching her on stage. Those are his words that she is performing. Being the writer and watching an actor perform your words so well that it makes you cry.
Mm-hmm.
I know that I'm stepping into the writer role kind of new here, but wow, that would be really, really cool. I can't imagine how that would feel. And then we cut from that little stage performance there to sexy time, but classy.
Right. Very classy. Very classy, sexy time.
Very classy sex scene. What's going on the radio? Very. And
it's a hell of a scene because you got the two of them there, in bed, naked, making out. You got Nolte's narration at the same time, talking about the nation of two, and right while we're hearing on the radio Hitler giving a speech. Like, this is a hell of a fucking scene, man. You've got like multi layers of shit to deal with going on here. Yeah.
2 watches on this one in one day, and that scene dropped my jaw both times. There's no argument. The introduction of the blue fairy godmother, and then I love that it was the godmother, then he, and I was like, what is going on here? And then all of a sudden, John Goodman pops in. I'm like, yeah, John Goodman can play anything.
That's right.
John Goodman can be a fairy godmother. Absolutely.
Man, and boy, and again, as always with John Goodman, like he's on screen for maybe a grand total of like 10 minutes through this movie, but holy shit, is he like, it's like you said, like he's one of the stars. He's one of the stars of the movie, even though he's only on it for like a tenth of the entire runtime, if that.
Yeah, what a powerhouse performance. And like every single scene that he pops in, he is playing that character in a way different mood. First time is very jovial, second time is that spy going to it, and the third time is just it's over. Like he had a 3 arc character journey just on his own, and he was barely in the movie.
Right. He got 1 scene per arc.
Yeah, and it was perfect. Good God.
Yeah. But yes, and he's explaining to Nolte that he's in a very unique position. He's like, look, war is coming, but you, an American who doesn't care about the Nazis, are in a position to cozy up to the Nazis and be an American spy. And
the way he does it, though, is like, let me tell you, I was just sitting over there, and I was thinking, I could use a writer because I have a story to tell. And he starts telling Nick Nolte his life story up until this point, and then pitches what happens next. And the look on his face is like, yeah? Like the way his head is kind of like going side to side with that smile and kind of analyzing him. Good God, good man. He is. There's a reason we can't go more than 2 weeks without talking about a John Goodman movie on this channel. It's kind of, we're not doing it on purpose, yet it does keep happening.
That's true, yeah.
We keep talking about John Goodman, man. I got to bring up some of my favorite Goodman movies.
Sure. I get it.
Pretty sure I already have with King Ralph and the Borrowers.
No, you were pushing that we were going to be doing King, like from the start of the show. You were like, King Ralph's coming, man. Be ready.
And I still don't think you were ready. That movie is too good. Definitely not one for this generation. It's too slow.
No, I think you're right, yeah.
No, for maybe the older in my generation, your generation, and like
and depending on the age too, I mean, if you get them in young enough, then they'll stick around. Kids can watch slow stuff.
Giving them good taste.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you got it. Like some of these movies, you can't let them disappear.
Right.
Like that would just be a wild mistake. His response, I'm an artist. If the war comes, it'll have to get along without me. Like, there was a piece of me that went, nice. And then there's the other piece of me that went, and that's why Elvis was the king. He was an artist. He put it down. He went and did his thing. And he came back. Yes, he was messed up, and that's probably why we got PTSD Elvis. And no, it's not probably. It's why we got PTSD Elvis. But being an artist is not an excuse. And some artists go, some artists don't. But I did like his point.
There's shades of people like firemen always say. There are some people who, when they hear someone yell fire, there's two kinds of people: people who run away from it, and the people who run towards it.
Mm-hmm.
Two different kinds of people. And fact of the matter is that one of the many reasons why humans rule the earth and not other animals is because there are both kinds of humans.
Explain.
That is how we've worked. We are a varied species, and for every situation, there is some of us who can handle that situation, and the rest of us don't put our lives in danger to deal with the thing that we cannot deal with. If there is a fire, we run from it, and we survive. If you are the kind of person who is willing to run towards a fire and possibly save more lives, that's good. Going. Yeah.
I see where you're going with that. All right. Back in this. Goodman tells him the truth that he would be left alone, that there's nobody that's going to come to bail you out. If you get caught as a spy, nobody's coming for you. And he also points out to him that he has seen his plays, he's read his stories, and he knows that that Nick Nolte's character is obsessed with good versus evil, and he roots for good. He does all this, like, he is a good man. Like, Goodman's character very much analyzes Nolte's character properly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You think, because when you see that footage of, good God,
that was after, remember? Because remember after this conversation with Goodman's
character. No, it was after, but it was convincing.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is like he even said, like, he says the part of the reason, he's like, what playwright wouldn't dream of a situation to create the ultimate character and then play him myself?
Where I do get that. I don't really have a but, I just very much do get that.
Right.
We cut to 3 years later. He has a radio show and refers to himself as the last free American coming from the heart of the free world, Berlin, during Nazi Germany, which is insane.
Not only that, they have the audacity to play the American national anthem before his show comes on. Like, the balls on these guys right at the gate.
Oh, as stealing a line from the other movie we're going to cover tonight, Tropic Thunder, swinging through the knees. Wow. He is the full propagandist now. And they reference that, like, the chief of police, which is his in-law, they watch every single night. And Kirsten Dunst is playing the chief of police's daughter, which in the 90s, if you wanted a creepy child to play a sociopath, very, very dark, but like be cute while doing it, you got Kirsten Dunst.
She kind of had it for a while there, yeah. This and Interview with a Vampire, and I'm trying to think. I know there's at least two more, but I can't think of. I know she also has Jumanji, and she was, perfectly normal and fun in Jumanji. So
yeah, that was a normal kid role. Yeah, I wouldn't put that as super dark, but
yeah, I know that was her thing for a while. The creepy child.
Well, even in Jumanji, she was tragedy stricken, and she did play that. She did still know how to play the grieving child.
No, that's true. Yeah.
It kind of like it. I don't want to say it. No, there's a way that it does make sense that Kirsten Dunst, the darkest, most morbid child of the 90s, wound up marrying the lead singer of Savage Garden, one of the best, the love songs that came out of the 90s from that guy. I mean,
yeah,
what a wonderfully, outstandingly weird combination. And I really wish, I want to know more. Oh, sorry. So
she's got that, well, and they even talk about it in this movie, which is weird, that when some of the Nazi guys are talking about the strong Aryan jawline, they talk that's the thing about Kirsten Dunst. She has the whole Aryan frame going on. She looks like a child Nazi.
I never thought of that.
Casting her as a sociopath of any kind is kind of typecasting for the way she's shaped.
That is a good point. I never really thought of that. Ouch. Love you, Kirsten. I love you, Kirsten Dunst. I mean, I'm not gonna I ain't saying nothing against you. You crushed these roles. These are compliments, even though they do not sound like them.
Like I said, when I first mentioned this earlier in the show, I said, this is not fair to Kirsten Dunst, but we have to point out the fact that she was born for this.
She really was. These roles, I mean, she crushed them. She was perfect. This was an amazing thing. The propaganda ministry would rewrite his speeches and tell him when and where to do things like cough, pause, or no. So the propaganda ministry would rewrite his speeches, then he would pass them off to his blue fairy godmother, and then the godmother would put in code in there for when he was supposed to make those breaks.
Well, we're never really made it's not godmother who does that. He says he does say that there is another spy somewhere in the propagation
that must be the general that he was talking about.
Maybe, yeah. But yeah, there's someone else.
Or FDR himself.
Yeah, there's someone else working in Goebbels' office that is also an American spy. So when he hands off his speech to be approved by the ministry, it comes back with like hash marks and notations on it that tell him where to cough and where to make those things. And he even says he does not know who it is. He never knows who in Goebbels' office is doing this for him. He just knows there's someone there, and that when he makes these where to pause, where to cough, where to sniffle, stuff like that, this is the code that's going out to the American spies listening on the radio.
Which I thought it was brilliant. Mm-hmm. I mean, I thought it was absolutely amazing. Mispronouncing the president's name, that was something that connected this movie to present day. There were many things about this movie that connected it to present day in ways that I was so not comfortable with. And I don't know how I'm not going to talk about it, but I'm going to try not to.
Well, I mean, historians have been pointing these things out for like years now, man. Historians have been losing their minds for like the last 6 years.
There's been a lot of fear about all of this stuff. It is, how do you argue with it's factual that the exact same things are happening? But it's just, that's scary. I mean, I wanted to
I mean, it's one thing. It's one thing to sit there and go like, well, hey, Hitler was a vegetarian, to just like talk shit about vegetarians. And it's like, okay, that's the one thing that all the vegetarians I know and Hitler have in common. It's not really going to count. When you have something,
probably the artist thing.
Right. Yeah. There's that too. When you have like 200 things in common with Hitler, okay, now we should be worried. Now we need to look closer at what's happening here.
Yeah, if it looks like you're studying the man, I mean, the fact that he destroyed that mustache for all of society, I don't think that was the worst thing.
No,
it wasn't the greatest mustache. Like, it was a pretty dumb mustache, so I think that's okay. But like,
they ruined the swastika for all time.
Well, that was kind of a thing. Like when we watched that Marx Brothers film, Duck Soup, and like he did the Nazi salute, but it wasn't a Nazi salute at that point in history. It was just a goofy hand movement. But that is now something that cannot be done. Even though, I mean, come on, it's not a big loss. The losses that came out of like things we can't really do anymore, they're not that big. Like they're not. Like, it's not that big a thing. I really want to move on from this part. I don't like doing this comparison game.
For me, the fun, I was watching this movie from like the 1930s. I can't remember what it was. I think it was Blonde Crazy was the name of it. But it takes place during the Depression, and it's basically about a bunch of people trying to get by doing random swindles to kind of get money during the Depression. And one of the guys is talking about how he literally gathers up aluminum cans and then cuts them into what he calls Lucky Charms and sells them for like $1 each on the street. And he goes like, yeah, I can just gather up all these cans out of the garbage, cut them into these Lucky Charms, and the people will buy them for $1 each. I sell like 100 of them a day, and I'm doing fine. And there's just a momentary glance of the charm he's holding in his hand. You barely see it, but when you see it, holy shit, that's a swastika.
Well, see, and there you go. And that's where I do feel kind of bad for like people who studied Tibetan history and stuff like that, because that used to be like, a Tibetan good luck charm or something.
That's the thing, is like they co-opted it because because that's the thing is, it was extremely popular. It had good image because yes, it was lucky, it was good fortune. So that's why they stole it, because that's what Nazis do. They ruin everything. And so they stole it, put it on their
Yeah.
flag, and now it's ruined forever.
Reaffirming this, we hate Nazis on this channel. Like we were watching this, and like Kelly and I were watching this, and she had that moment. She was like, "Wow, yeah." I'm like, "How much guilt do you think I would feel executing a Nazi?" Like, I mean, sorry if that's
Yeah.
your chosen life. Yeah, we don't care. God, we gotta move forward.
Yeah,
We
it's
gotta
getting
get past
dark,
this
man.
part.
Yeah, it's getting dark.
Yeah, this whole thing is gonna be really dark. Uh, his sign off with the Heil, yeah, that hurt my soul. He wears his indifference as a Jewish protester shows up and then gets hauled off for protesting and spitting in his face. Like,
Mhm.
the indifference that he wears, like, I mean, I know this is Nick Nolte, I know, and his resting face is just run away from this man. But good God, I I hated him. I hated him deeply for a huge chunk of this movie. The movie did its job very, very well.
Right.
Like, ouch. Uh, to a party, and he admits that he misses America, but not with the Jews in charge.
And the only and you kind of like, but that's the thing is like you kind of up to this point you keep trying to give him the benefit of the doubt. I mean, I know you said you hated him, and maybe it's because I already seen the movie, and so I kind of like already felt for the guy. But it's like I keep moments like that, like when the protester is spitting at him and screaming, and he just kind of like lights a cigarette and ignores it. And when he's at the party and saying, "Yeah, I miss America, but not with the Jews in charge," and he's saying stuff like that, my mind keeps going back to that line that he said at the beginning of all this to write the ultimate role and play it myself. Like I'm sitting here going
Yeah.
like this guy is sitting in his mind thinking to himself, what would the worst person in the world say? And I'm gonna say that. And that like I said, I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt. But that's the thing is it kind of plays out as we see the course through the movie play out, and the war ends, he drops the act, he feels guilty, plays into what I was saying there. It gives credence to that idea of him realizing that even though he was playing an act, he was still doing damage. He was still doing truly terrible things, even though it wasn't him. He was willingly doing it,
Oh,
and
wow.
he sees that.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, there's a very specific line here that is pertaining exactly to what you're talking about. And it is actually my next line. But where he's talking about the war, he's like, there's no room in our nation of two for this war, for all of these things.
Mm-hmm.
It's not
Yep.
for us. But the thing that I feel where he admitted it, you must be careful of what you pretend to be, because in the end, you are what you pretend to be. So I think that
Yeah.
was him admitting that he crossed the line and became what he was pretending to be.
Right. Exactly.
Like,
Yes.
that's where I was like, okay, he's owning it, but he still did it. So
Yeah.
it's kind of like, this is a very thought-provoking movie. It is 100%. You don't want to feel empathetic towards this man, but at the same time, how do you not, like, when he was put in on the assignment, here's why it's hard to be sympathetic towards him, because we don't know the results of his work. We don't know which messages were being sent. We don't know how many lives got saved because of him. We don't
That's
know
true.
any of the effects of what he did. We only know what he did.
Right. Yeah.
And that
So
paints
even
the
though,
story.
we know he's passing messages to the Americans, and his fairy godmother tells him that you did great work, you're an American hero. But yeah, we never get to see it. We never hear any names of anybody saved. We don't hear about any sort of operations that happen. We don't see the good of what he did. We only see the bad.
Yeah. Then we go into another love scene about their nation of two, but it ends with the raid sirens, and ow. The
Mhm.
war, like everybody said, the war ended in 1945, but For me, the war ended 1 year earlier. Their nation of two was the loser, insanity the victor. There were no prisoners, no survivors. And I loved that because they kept playing off that it wasn't just her that died that day. It was her and him. He was the Walking Dead. Like that was
and he basically
Wow.
does that. He from there on goes on a walkabout. Just decides to wander the German countryside until he gets caught by American soldiers.
Yeah, that does happen right here.
Yeah, I mean, there's one scene before that, but it's premeditated. He goes to his father-in-law and says, "I'm going to go onto the front. I'm going to go fight against the Russians," but it's a lie. He just plans on just wandering.
And during that scene, that's where we get a confession from like a little 12-year-old, 13-year-old Kirsten Dunst saying that she's in love with a 60-year-old Nick Nolte. And
I think technically his character is only supposed to be like 30 or 40 at that point.
But care. The worldview that Kirsten Dunst must have had as a child. Because imagine this. First, Brad Pitt. Then, Nick Nolte.
Right.
How the hell are you going to ask this girl to homecoming?
Well, someone did. She's married, right?
But I'm okay.
And I presume the guy she's married to is within her age group, right? I can't remember how old that guy is.
I'm pretty sure. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know his age. I just saw him in music videos when I was a kid.
Right.
But
yeah,
he was turtlenecks and long coats, which I have to admit, I love the look, and I still wear it.
Yeah.
Can't help it, man. You like what you like.
Yep.
Go ahead.
No, but yeah, she's the wife's baby sister, and she believes that she's about to get killed by the Russian soldiers, and so she decides to. First of all, she's okay with her dog getting shot. She's even like, I never liked the dog anyway. Like, Jesus Christ.
Well, did you catch what she said about the dog? Or what they said about the dog?
Right, yeah. They couldn't take it with them.
No, that it was racist.
I didn't catch that. No, wait, what?
That, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't catch it either. Kelly pointed it out, and I was like, that's probably because it didn't hate Jews.
That's pretty funny.
It did. I don't know how else to take that. I don't know why else they would have that line in there. I don't know how that dog could have. I don't know. It was weird. Yeah. I mean, many things about this movie were very weird.
Yeah.
But the thing that happened before this,
she confesses that she's always been in love with her sister's husband this whole time. And then he's like, "Gee, thanks. Well, bye."
The correct response if a child says something like that to you, yes, bye. Yep. I need to go tell your parents what you just said. I'm never coming around here again. This is fucking weird.
I'm gonna go wander the countryside.
Yep. But before this scene, Nolte crushes the heartbreak in finding out and getting that letter from his wife. And the guy said, he's like, "What?" And Nolte says, "Why would the Germans kill her?" And then you hear the other guy say, he's like, "Sir, I said the enemy killed her. It was the Russians." Nolte full on slipped up in that moment and nobody caught it. And I didn't even fully catch that until the second viewing, where I was like, okay, so he is the good guy. Like in his weakest moments, when he's broken, when he is thinking of who the enemy is, it is the Germans.
Right.
Like, I caught that on the second viewing, so that gave me more towards Nolte on that. But I do, we're almost there, but I way agree with what Goodman said. His father-in-law is the chief of police and has had his eye on him forever, but no longer cares because Nolte's broadcast was too convincing. He said, like, Hitler, I thought he was crazy. Goebbels thought he was crazy. You convinced me that Germany was not insane, and it was the freaking spy, the guy. Oh wow!
Well, and the crazy thing is,
man.
he even says that he suspected him. Like he's like probably the one person we see in the Nazi Party who actually thinks that Nolte's not on the up and up. And then he says, at a certain point, I realized I didn't care if you were a spy because you could not have done anything for them that was as good as what you did for us. Like,
and he's right. The way how
yeah.
right he is. I mean, dude, I cannot tell you how I feel about this character. I can tell you how I feel about this movie. I still cannot tell you how I feel about this character. This movie was incredible. Yeah, like you said, he didn't go to the front but fled, and he gets captured by the Americans. And David Strathairn as Sergeant O'Hare, I like that he's like, he wasn't so fond of my broadcast, and just knocks him out and then goes and eats his breakfast cheese. I thought that was funny. Also, great little cameo from David Strathairn.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That was, and I'm guessing just he wanted, like a Jewish actor wanted to be a World War II soldier knocking down a Nazi. I can see that.
Sure,
that makes all the sense in the world to me. I had to go double check and make sure that Alan Arkin was Jewish because I was very confused for a moment there.
Oh, yeah.
But we'll get there. We'll get there. I'm jumping. Yeah. I'm sorry. They take him on on a tour of the horrors he helped cause. And what he says when he sees them hanging, he's like, they look peaceful to me. I'm like, dude. But I see, and that was where I thought like some like sociopathic shit, but I kind of forgot that he was suicidal since the loss of his wife. So seeing them dead, it was kind of the thing that he was longing for. So incredibly powerful and beautiful story moment. Good God, it's good that I watched this when I did. Younger me would not have understood half of this movie. The subtext is huge.
Yeah. Yep.
But left by the soldiers to see the Blue Godmother, John Goodman, and he says they can't reveal their tricks in case they need them again, so he's out in the cold. They can relocate him, but both of his parents are dead. Nobody told him. And Goodman all but accuses him of being a Nazi by saying, what would you have done if Germany won? And that is, I am right with Goodman on that there. Like, yes, yeah, you did this, but you created this like massive safety blanket. Would you have ripped the covers off if you didn't have to?
Right.
Like, oh my, like seriously, the subtext in this movie is just, it's tiramisu, man. It's just levels and layers of incredible storytelling.
And it just, like, I should have gone back and done some research because the whole time both times that I watched this, I was constantly thinking to myself, where did Vonnegut come up with this? Because this is, to my knowledge, the only Kurt Vonnegut book that isn't sci-fi. It is a straight up historical fiction. And so it's like, what inspired him to tell this story, to write this story? Like of all the weird shit, like Slaughterhouse-5 and Timequake and all the stuff this guy's done, where did he get the idea for this?
That's a really good question.
Sci-fi, really, really serious, really emotional kind of story,
It's incredible. He absolutely crushes it. I'm just going to say, I really appreciated the tension building of replacing that ribbon. And the music that they put behind that and to build the tension of that scene makes no sense at this moment. Even though I very much loved it, it doesn't make any sense. It's not until you see what happens later that you find out why it makes sense.
Which kind of makes you wonder how long are we going to go before anytime you show this movie to someone, you're going to first have to explain to them what a typewriter is.
Oh, come on, man. You got to give people more credit than that.
No. I'm not saying out of stupidity. I mean just time. I mean, like, there's going to be a point where we are so far removed from typewriter technology that maybe, sure, typewriters will know for a while. What a typewriter ink ribbon? That's not going to be common knowledge for very much longer.
Okay, I don't think that is common knowledge now, but here's the thing. Everybody knows what a typewriter is. Most people, my generation and younger, are not going to be able to tell you what a word processor is. Typewriters are not going to go anywhere because they will be a staple in cinema. Any period piece will have a typewriter. any of it.
Okay, I see what
They
you're
will
saying. I see what you're saying.
constantly be there. Things like word processors, speak and spell, like things like that are going to get lost to time, but not a typewriter. I very much doubt that. Could be wrong.
Okay.
I'm wrong about a lot of stuff, but I don't think I'm wrong about that one.
But hey, at least they made a point to show the ink so that they won't have to explain it in the future. Like we're seeing the ink ribbon get replaced. We see that what this is and the necessity for it in the operation of this, that he's writing his memoirs.
No, it was great. It was great. Chekhov's ink ribbon. So we cut to 1960. He's in New York. He used a fake name, but only for a little bit. Goes back to his real name, which is a very, very distinguishable name. So really dumb. Kind of felt like he wanted to be caught.
Right? Yeah, like he wanted to be caught, or maybe he really like. I mean, no, I think you're right. I think he wanted to be caught. Like everything else kind of points to that. Yeah, he wants people to know who he was and punish him for it.
I'm thinking, especially considering the end. We finally get a Bing Crosby explanation for the opening sequence, and like everything that he got is recreation kits for soldiers, which. You know what? I was thinking pre-show stories and I remembered when they're talking about the recreation kits for soldiers, I was gonna tell a story about one of those kits that got sent over to me. Real quick, super, super small. I opened it up and it was just a ton of drawings for an entire class, all sent just to Hackworth. Whole class, really? All these drawings, everything like that, and they just sent them right to and it was all for
not to your unit or your platoon, but to just you as a person.
It was like every class designated to a specific soldier.
Oh, okay.
It was that's very cool. Oh my god, how much that just my heart was bursting that day, and I'll always forget that. Always remember and never
forget, you kid.
Yeah, I'll always remember and never forget those letters. Not like the drawings and things like that, and especially that day. That is sending those to deployed soldiers it's a bigger thing than some people might realize. And we're not really in a situation to be doing stuff like that now, but if we ever do, considering how much it meant to me, that's probably something my family would do for another.
Cool, yeah.
Wild, just little nothing story. But he's all sad, drinking his wine, all that, and cheers to his nation of two, and he's just sad about his dead wife looking at her photo. Then he cuts his hand and needs a doc, and it's a Jewish doc. And I was so ready for him to be recognized immediately, but he speaks really softly now.
Mm-hmm. Yep. He's got a doctor living downstairs in his building who happens to be Jewish, and he's just like, "Hey, can you help me out here?"
But his mom catches on immediately.
You're right. Yeah, she recognizes his name. She doesn't say if she recognizes his voice. She's just like, "You've got a very distinctive name, sir." And
he does a good job at hiding his voice. Like when he was doing the show, he sounded like an 80-year-old man, but when he was like a 60-year-old man, he sounded like a 30-year-old guy. It was kind of interesting, but his voice was actually he hit it well enough that it actually worked. And I kept trying to pay attention to it to go, they'd catch him. I wouldn't have.
No, yeah. Well, he kind of leads into it too, because it's like that one soldier caught him because he recognized his voice. And so he figures out very quickly, I need to not talk like I usually do. Like, because even just saying good morning to someone, they recognize the sound of my voice.
It's a really good point. I didn't really take it there. The kid, or the doctor, and his mom both lived in Auschwitz, and the mom is still trying to like bring her dead husband back through keep him alive with memories and all of this, and the son is just trying to forget and move on. And who hasn't been part of a conversation like that?
I know, right?
Like that is
Speaking of
a
which,
tough one.
what is that? The doctor. What is that actor's name? Because I have seen him dozens of times, and
I
every
meant to
time I
get that,
see,
but when I was searching through these through the credits, it was really hard because they're not in any kind of order, and that doctor didn't have a name.
yeah, and
So I
it's and that's the thing
yeah.
is like I know I've seen him in a dozen things, and every time I see him for a half a second, I think it's Paul Rubens, but he's not Paul Rubens.
We'll check that out.
Right.
Adolf Eichmann, someone he knows is above him and says he's lucky because he can type, because Eichmann has to write his out. That was funny. That was funny. The
Mm-hmm.
German optimism was shining right through that scene, and it was uncomfortably funny. Uh, Ironically, he makes a chess set, but he's scared to play with a doc because of his mom, and he goes across the hallway to play with another Jewish guy, who is not playing a Jewish guy in this movie. He's playing a Russian guy in this movie. I was so confused when all the white supremacists showed up and nobody had a problem with Alan Arkin. I'm like, what is this movie? What are you guys doing? Like, I get it. I don't want you to go after him, but what are your characters? Like, you know
Right.
what? Am I alone here on that?
I mean, I can't. That's the
I
thing
might
is,
be.
like, I kept expecting some kind of reveal, but yeah, no, that's the same thing. Like all this, yeah, I thought he was supposed to be Jewish. Like I figured he was like some sort of like Israeli undercover or something like that.
If
And but
anything,
yeah, but no, it turns out no, he's Russian. That's what we find
no,
out.
the guy's played a Jewish character in so many things that, like, to see him play a Russian, I was not ready for it. It floored me. Like, I was completely blindsided by it. So clever move. But he winds up playing chess with Alan Arkin, and we find out about I was gonna, or
Hmm.
move here. So I flipped a coin, and now I'm here. And he mentions the Brotherhood of the Walking Wounded, who is incapable of speaking to one another. And then Nick Nolte like kind of alludes to it. And he's like, "Yeah, but I can't talk about it." He's like, "Of course." Perfect. That was a great scene.
Yeah, no, again multi layers of emotion from both of these powerhouse actors. I mean, come on.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And then off to Chess in the Park and a montage of what really seemed like a blossoming friendship. And he spills it all, and Arkin takes it takes it fully in stride. Like, well, if you're this big hero, then why don't you do something about it? You know, kind of really stepping up on there. He's like, they're all spitting on you. He's like, nobody's spitting on me. Nobody even remembers me. I'm dead. And it's like, I
Mm.
don't think you understand how trauma works, buddy.
Right.
People are hearing your voice as they go to sleep at night. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's kind of how that works out. Did you find out why Vonnegut went to go do this?
No, no, I'm looking up that actor.
Oh, he finds his identity has been revealed by a white supremacist fanboy, and
He
Arkin's.
gets their newsletter in his mailbox out of nowhere, which my God, talk about unsettling. Like just minding your own business, and all of a sudden the white Christian nationalist weekly is in your freaking mailbox. Like, time to move. That would be what, like, I'd be like, well, I gotta burn this building down and find a new one. Like that's
I'm not even gonna point that out. No, no, no. All right. The line, all the best writers are dead. Haha.
that was a great line. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
figured you would love that as much as I did.
I can't be a writer. I'm dead. What are you talking about? All the best writers are dead. Yeah.
That was amazing. I like that. He's like, you need a woman. He's like, I don't like. I really liked their friendship, but this is where film techniques really come in. As soon as he walked out of that hallway and the camera angle was tilted, that's what tells the audience that everything is about to get flipped on its head.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yep.
as soon as I saw that camera angle, I was like, oh, what's coming? And then it's three fat old white supremacists like heavily breathing their way
Like,
up the stairs, like
yeah,
which was
like they
funny
literally
in
get like
its own.
that was so good. Yeah, because they're like they're having to take it three steps at a time. You don't see them yet. You see their hands gripped on the railing as they go 1, 2, 3, rest. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, rest. This is like he's on like the 10th floor of a walk up. Like they did this for 20 flights of stairs. Like it's crazy.
A little ridiculous. And the white Christian Minutemen. And the fact that they let this guy be named Crap Tower, thank you. That is what we call Nazis. Crap Towers. Fantastic. Fantastic. A million German last names, and you went with that one. You knew what you were doing, and I applaud you. Fantastic. Yes. Alan Arkin playing off the playing off the supremacists is wild. And dude, this level of racism, I've gone over like 50 different paintings of Jesus and pointed out that he doesn't have a Jew jawline or Jew teeth. Oh my God, I wanted these guys to be thrown out windows, pianos dropped on them, anything.
Like the whole time you're watching this, you're just going like, Alan Arkin, you're just going to stand there and listen to this? What's going on, man?
I was waiting for him to tackle, grab like something. I was waiting for something really bad to happen to these guys, and nothing did, and that really made me sad. And then I got really like worried because they're like, oh, it's downstairs, go check it out. And he leaves these 3 white supremacists in a room with a Jewish guy. And I'm like, Nick, what are you doing? But again, Alan Arkin not playing a Jewish character. And that really tripped me up for watching this.
This one time he's actually Russian.
That really tripped me up. And it's an awkward surprise because he believes that Helga has come back from the dead. And then Crap Tower, it's an honor to risk my life going upstairs because I'm fat. Thank God he died. I'm so happy he died. That made me...
and
that was the right call.
And the best part about it is how... Like other than like he's technically the dentist's bodyguard, so the dentist is a little upset that Crap Tower's dead, but it seems like it's mainly because it's an inconvenience for him. Everybody else is kind of who fucking cares? Like
that's kind of how I was. But then when Frankie Faison shows up playing the Black Fuhrer,
dude.
Whoa.
Dude. As a working black actor in America, who gets a chance to play a role like this?
Wow. That was crazy to me. Yeah. But and then like he's like, yeah, and then they're going to get a bomb of their own and they're going to give it to the Japanese so they can drop the hydrogen bomb first. And then he's like,
right.
Well, where would they drop it?
I don't know.
China? And then it's like that whole like, who told you Chinamen were colored? And I was like, this is a very awkward moment.
Right.
I don't know what level of racism we have achieved, but it feels like it's either been squared or cubed.
Right.
Like it was heavy.
All right, so I found his name. His name is Ari Gross. Ari Gross is the guy who played the young doctor in that. And yes, I've seen him dozens of times. Always at first glance, I think he's Paul Rubens, but he's not. He is a serious actor. He does do some comedy, but he's not Pee Wee Herman. So, you know.
Okay, fair enough. Talking with Helga about getting a hotel, and she's all...
Although, sorry, before we continue, I do want to point out one thing that while I was looking through the cast list here on IMDb, I saw something that made me laugh. Because in that radio broadcast... we were talking about before that very intense scene where Nation of Two, and then you got Hitler's playing on the radio. Because of that, in the IMDb, they have Adolf Hitler listed as one of the credits in here, playing self uncredited.
That is that's a fun fact. Cool.
You didn't have to do that, IMDb.
No,
Adolf Hitler is not represented by any union None. Zero. You don't have to do that.
That is a weird decision. I am going to give you that. Talking with Helga about getting a hotel, and she's all, why wait? And angry that the store is closed because of Veterans Day. I was like,
wow.
Stop representing yourself as a Nazi, dude. Like, come on. Like, World War II just finished. Like, not that long ago. Shut up. Yes, if we go like 40 years without any wars, yes. Veterans Day closing stuff down. All right, I'll give you that, sure.
Yeah.
But if it was 5 years ago, or I guess at this point, 15 years ago,
15.
Still.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Still, 15. Still, no, too soon. 6 million people, too soon.
Yep.
Yes, no.
The fact that there weren't people. I mean, they're in New York, and he's shouting "fucking Veterans Day." There should have been someone right there on the street going, "Hey, fuck you, buddy."
At that point in history, I would think so.
Yeah.
Like, it's a couple years before like the heavy protests started coming in, so I would think so.
Yep.
Helga is nervous about losing his love, and then we find out the reveal. I'm not Helga. I'm her little sister who grew up to look exactly like her. And wow, his response is he responds accordingly, but her story is just, how do you not empathize? Like, even if you don't want to fall in love with this girl, like you still kind of want to let her assume the identity so she doesn't get sent back. Like,
yeah, her whole story is that, basically, like, because she was a Russian prisoner, she escaped, and then when she was filling out her refugee papers, she decided that she didn't want to be herself, kind of a nobody. She wanted to be her sister, the famous actress. And then once she did that, then all of a sudden she got swept up in all this shit, that ended up with her being planted on his doorstep,
Yep.
Which,
no, I empathize.
Yeah. And now he's stuck with, like, okay, I get it, but also, like, I kind of thought you were my dead wife. Not cool, bitch.
And I agree. But then he kind of forgives her and just kind of goes with it anyway. And it's like, okay, this is awkward. They go on a date and she wants him to write a play for her like he used to for her sister.
Yeah.
And
get over yourself,
then you
baby.
get this. Well, then you get this like really solid example. It's like, okay, she wants to be an actor, but she can't even pronounce words. I'm starting to see this is the little sister that was envious, but never put the work in. The older sister, but like gave a lot of reasons
To be fair, the real Helga was never required to learn English for, like, I think, because remember, he wrote his plays in German. We were getting them translated in English, but he was writing them in German.
But he said that he would joke with her about the quintessence of Helga. So doesn't really matter. I don't see your point.
I'm saying that English is her second language. It's not exactly fair. And she, third if you count Russian, actually, because she was German and then she was a Russian POW, and then now she's in America. Like, we can cut her some slack on the word quintessence, I think. But still, I saw it as a scene of kind of like she's playing into the, why don't we continue to pretend I'm Helga? You can write plays for me, and there's this kind of cutesy banter going on. Like,
but there's a part of her character that, like, I'm really speaking to a part of her character. She's like, I want to dye my hair. I want to go to Hollywood. I want to do all these things. She is not a character that put the work in. She was the dreamer. That's why, like, that's what I'm saying. Okay. She didn't, like, that's like, or she envied her sister who was the doer, but she was not the one to do it. She took the shortcuts. She got all this, everything like that. Then she got screwed, and then she found a way out of it.
I mean, to be fair, she never really got a chance to be a doer. She was 12 years old when she was captured by the Russians and has been working in a cigarette factory in Moscow ever since. Like, what was she gonna do?
Okay, stop defending her because you're defending a fucking creepy, morbid, I love my sister's widower and I'm a child. Seriously, stop defending these creepy fucking characters all the time, man.
Dude, I mean, come on.
There's devil's advocate, and then there's what the fuck? But like, okay, but for real,
Look, I'm not.
do you
I'm not saying
actually
that
have a defense for this character, or is it like
for the well, okay, we haven't even gotten to the big reveal of that everything she's saying is a lie anyway. You know, so it kind of doesn't matter. But the way I see this scene where they're talking about the play and stuff like that, I'm seeing that as a moment where he's starting to actually fall for her again.
Oh no,
like,
I do agree with that. Yes.
Like that's the thing, is like that little like cutesy banter of like, you can't even pronounce the word. Can you say it with me? Quintessence. Like this is
it was a
having
cute
cutesy banter
moment.
And like that's kind of what I'm seeing, because we're seeing another ramp up of he's starting to feel like he's starting to feel like himself again. Like he's not suicidal anymore. Now all of a sudden he's kind of starting to fall in love with it again.
Yes, that is the
he's got this
the
Nazi
point of the
problem
scene
again at a door. But that's the
yes.
thing.
That's what I'm saying is that
yeah. Okay.
But I'm still saying her character is a wildly flawed character.
Oh sure, yeah.
Yes.
Everybody in this movie is, except for John Goodman, maybe.
Yeah, but he's always perfect. Even when he's the bad guy, he's perfect. Doesn't matter. But then, yeah, a moment of sweetness gets interrupted by a man searching for revenge for his buddy. And what happened to his buddy? They cut his tenders off and then hung him up. Like,
no,
if that happened to my buddy, I would be out swinging for the fences too. I'm not gonna lie. Like, everything about this movie is pretty understandable.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I do got to give them that. But I really like, they get knocked out and taken to the Black Fuhrer. And this was before I knew. I was just, oh man, why is Arkin so at ease? And then when you hear the gunshot, when you hear the gunshots and they're like, oh, that's your friend. It's like, dude. Like, but then, yeah, no, he's literally up. He's the one with the gun. Yeah, no, I was confused.
He's target practicing, yeah.
Yeah. They want him to speak at Crap Tower's funeral, but because
you were his mentor, we thought you could say, it's like you knew the guy for 5 fucking minutes. Mentor who?
Yeah, no, the guy was obsessed with me. I was not his mentor. No, like that was what a weird setup. Then tells not Helga that he'll write again in Mexico, sees the broadcast, and it's ominous enough to accept a gun that he's going to start carrying with him at this point now, because he's like, okay, no, I'm in danger. And Crap Tower's funeral and lying about his affiliation with Nolte's character, and Nolte watching a recording of his old broadcast, he is just wildly aghast at footage of himself as though he never realized what he was saying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like he was laser focused on being the character, that now he's out of the character. He is just, his brain, like, it's just broken.
100% appalled with himself. Yeah. This is the moment where he's sitting there going, oh my God, I did this to myself. This is all my fault.
And that's where I think the end of the movie really is explained. Is in that moment there. But warned and tricked into a meeting with his blue fairy godmother, and the Russians are after him. Arkin is an agent. Helga, or not Helga, is the other Russian agent. And Goodman tells him they were going to kidnap him in Mexico and parade him as the type of fascist war criminal America shelters. Ow.
Yep.
But at the same time, post-World War II America, we accepted all of the world's greatest scientists, and we protected them so long as they did stuff for America. No, America brought in a lot of Nazis and put them to work, and we still don't know if there was any, like, you talk conspiracy theories, what the hell did Nazis, like, put in on stuff when they were working for the Americans? I mean, I can see where conspiracy theorists, like, really get stuff that they can latch onto, but how the rest of the world must have looked at America for taking in these Nazi scientists, I can kind of understand how that looked.
Yep.
Yeah, that's like, because you were protecting war criminals. And then, when do you eat? Asking the guy who can't stop writing. Heard that.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, no, when the words are flowing, no, I can't tear myself away from it either. Like, when do you eat? I don't know. When's the last time you did this? I can't remember. No, I've been there, and my God, that is, when you snap out of those things, it's kind of like you're shaking, your heart's pounding, everything. It is a rough moment.
That's the thing. Like, if you have a writer in your family, the best thing you can do for them is bring them a snack, because they are not going to remember to eat.
Yep.
And when they do eventually get so hungry that it jars them out of the writing that they're doing, at that point it's like too late. At that point, you got to get out of their way, or they might eat you, because their brain has stopped working. Just bring them some chips. You don't even need to open a bag of chips for them and set them in front of them. That's all you got to do.
It's not a bad way to go.
Yeah.
Definitely not a bad way to go. His Nazi buddy tries to give him a lesson on relaxing, and he laughs his ass off. That's how I got here. Like,
right.
He tries to mock Eichmann's delusions, but he gets his tossed right back in his face. And the way it lands on Nolte, felt it, and he sold it. Like, he sold that moment perfectly. And when he tricks them into actually revealing that they were agents, because he said, like, nobody admitted that the Blue Fairy Godmother was a real person or anything like that. So there was a big part of this. Like I said, I thought Nolte's character was a legitimate Nazi that after the war, while he was writing this, he had tricked himself into delusions to make himself believe that he was the good guy.
Because like, there's a lot of correlations between this story and like famous stories of people who like went crazy and they were like, no, the government hired me to do this. Movies like Beautiful Mind and freaking what was the one with Sam Rockwell in it? I can't remember. Yeah, there's a couple of movies about people who like commit horrendous
Are you talking about
the
Font movie?
The Font movie?
We'll talk about that another time.
Okay.
All right. Arkin slinks out, and it was actually kind of funny how he did. And not Helga does the "Let us die together," and she quotes him and his early work. And my God, she really is obsessed with him. Just tell me what to live for. I'll live for that chair if you tell me to live for it. And it's like, good God, woman, stop. And she does, with a SUI pill that is, I'm thinking cyanide or something, I don't know. But
something like that, yeah.
Nope, hidden in her lipstick, and she
quick
actually took the pill. Like, I thought that she was maybe an agent, like some sort of spy to help get him caught. And then afterwards, she was gonna like get her freedom. It's like, I did not think that she actually was in love with him and all of this. I was way wrong. Like, no, she was a psychotic, insane character. Like, she just
truly, yeah. Just kind of riding a wave, whether it was as a Russian spy or as a tool of the Christian White Army or whatever they called themselves. Like, he did not care as long as all paths led to him. And as soon as he started saying, nah, you and I are not a thing, she was like,
yeah, it's like, I can't take responsibility for, or I can't say anything about your taste in men. Ooh. It was good. It was good. Then he gets arrested, and a catch and release program with a war criminal. I mean, so here's the thing, like, you still have to imagine they were like Jewish cops or something like that. It's amazing that he made it out of that jail, is all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, there were no Jewish criminals that were there just hanging out, had a few too much to drink at the night, something like that. And like, nobody tanked him in that. That is my most unbelievable part of this movie. But then he freezes in the street because it's the exact opposite of option paralysis. He has nowhere to go. He has nothing to live for. There's nothing for him. So he just freezes for hours. until
Right.
a
His
cop
one.
breaks him of his days, and then he returns to a trashed home about finish the job.
Yep. Yeah. His one true friend that he had turned out to have been a Russian spy. His dead wife come back from the dead is actually her crazy sister, who is now also dead. This
Not
guy
the biggest loss.
literally. But so yeah, it was like after getting them caught, and and he did manage to get the white supremacists all rounded up, but then yeah, he's out, and he's like, I've got nothing. He stops in the middle of the sidewalk. He's like, I have nowhere to go. I have no one to go to. Like, I have no reason to be anywhere. Like, yeah, it's
By the way, if anybody is judging me for my lack of empathy for the dead characters, they're all Nazis. I don't care.
Nazis or
The
Russian spies or both.
the wife the wife did not know that he was working with the Americans, so she believed his broadcast. She supported him. She danced, flirted, and
Well,
hung out
okay,
with the Nazis.
we don't know that, because remember, they were a
He
nation of
said
two.
he didn't tell her.
He says he didn't tell her. That doesn't mean that she was totally for it, because remember, that was the whole point. They were a nation of two. They were just about each other. It was not. It wasn't that she was a Nazi. Is that she was just surviving the same way he was. She made. She. It's not.
Okay,
She's not
I'm
totally
gonna okay.
innocent.
We got that
She's
from
not a
his
Nazi.
we got that from his
Okay.
perspective. I want her movie before I go through and start defending Nazi sympathists
Okay,
or Nazi sympathizers. Like,
that's fair.
I know that I am the hater, which puts you in the devil's advocate position quite a bit. Not with Nazis, dude. These characters, like,
Look, here's the thing.
I got two more notes on the movie, and then we'll start getting into the discussion.
Okay. All right.
Okay. He tries to turn himself into the nearest Jew, but nope, it's the second nearest Jew that can help. I thought that was funny. Even if it wasn't meant to be funny, I thought it was hilarious.
Well, and he did say, the interesting thing was, is he goes to them, and when the doctor first says, like, why are you coming to me? And he says, I want to surrender to an Auschwitzer. Like, he wants to make some kind, like, he can't make amends for what he's done, but he at least wants to try.
Did
and so
you
surrendering to
find out what she sang as he was being carried off?
No. I mean, he translates the lyrics, but no, I don't know what it's from.
No, yeah, that's why I was saying. Like, did you read what he translated it to?
Yes.
He said what she said was corpse carriers to the guardhouse. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, but just wow. Like, that was incredible. The blue godmother steps up, and it looks like he may be vindicated, but that is not what he wants. So he takes all the records, all the ribbon from the ribbon from everything that he had written and all this, and he ends his own life with his own words. And good God, this movie is incredible. But who's at the door? Did you?
Oh, I'm pretty sure it was that guard that was talking to him at the beginning that was talking about the guy.
No, I agree. I was wondering if there was like something I missed.
Nope, I'm pretty sure that's who it was.
Final thoughts on Mother Night?
Absolute must see. I think this is an amazing film. I think it's too emotional and thought provoking to turn away. And I'm about to get into some shit about why I think it matters today. And I think it's one of those things that should be discussed beyond the usual Nazi correlations. There's other things that I think where it matters. And I think everyone should see this movie and kind of give these thoughts some consideration.
This is 100% a must see. Depending on who you are, you're going to take away something different from it. I truly do believe that. The movie doesn't explicitly tell you which characters are good and which characters are bad. They just talk about it from a historical standpoint, and they talk about how, like, basically who won. Interestingly enough, Kurt Vonnegut doesn't really seem to take an anti-Nazi standpoint in this story. He's just telling the story. It's about an American who's embedded in what could happen. However, It's not exactly like any Nazi is portrayed in bad light, only historically accurate.
Right, yeah, we don't see anybody do anything terrible, but it is in the abstract. I mean, it's kind of what I mean, I think he takes it as a given, as like for instance, the fact that there are the concentration camps, there are the protesters. Like, I don't think he felt the need to belabor that point. Is like that's what was happening, and these people were all for it. We don't really need to.
I disagree completely. I think the reason that he didn't do that is because it would have painted the character too much and the situation and would have given him something to actually fight back against or fight for. But it kept it
Well,
open.
there's probably that too, yeah. And I think that is kind of part of it. Is one of the reasons why he was able to delude himself is because he didn't see any of this. Like there was that one protester that he ignored, but generally speaking, he didn't see any of the atrocities. It was all very abstract to him until it wasn't.
I don't know, because he lived in Berlin. So during the roundups and everything like that, you have to, like, there's no way that you couldn't not see that. Like, there were,
I suppose that's true.
you
Yeah.
couldn't, like, we didn't see him seeing it. And I think the reason that we didn't see that is because it would have painted him, like, how he responded to that. The audience would have painted the opinion before we were supposed to.
Perhaps.
But again, that's why I like movies. I like it's very
Yeah.
like perspective driven.
I have some perspective. The reason why I think this movie is important today.
All right.
And I'm saying when I say, and I think the important thing to point out here is that I do not have a stance on this at the moment. It is a question in my head that I think people should be thinking about. His great crime, the thing that he is on trial for, the thing that he is undeniably guilty of, is the fact that he is a propagandist. He is up there on the radio. He is saying all the horrible things that justifies and promotes the Nazi agenda to the German people. As that one guy said, I thought our country was going crazy until I listened to you. He never killed anyone. He wasn't part of any soldiering. He didn't have anything to do with the concentration camps, but just by the very nature of the fact that he had the job of justifying all of that, that makes him a war criminal. That makes him just as bad as all the other Nazis, including the ones who ran the concentration camps themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So the question of how that applies today, this all came to mind for me when we had those two massive hurricanes in a row, and how there are people hard at work doing climate change denial, knowing full well it's bullshit, knowing full well that there is active and true harm for what they're saying. And so the question is, with that very real knowledge of not just this fictional character, but also people like Goebbels, people who were propagandists who made this happen, knowing full well that they were lying to the German people in order to get them to accept this new Nazi reality. Is there something to be said about taking to task the people who lied to us about climate change now that there are countable people dead because of it? And how do we reconcile that with our also very real and very important value of free speech in America? That's the question I think that we should all be thinking about, and why after the hurricanes I thought of this movie. And like I said, I don't have the answer. I just think that this is something we should be thinking about.
That huge lead up led to a climate question when we're talking about the Nazis. I thought we were going a way different direction. Well, here's my position on that. Don't put them to death, but absolutely, yes, huge fines, everything like that. Absolutely, because there's a difference between free speech and then marketing something.
Right, but that's the question: is how do we define that? That's the big question. How do we put a point, legally speaking, on the difference between someone being a propagandist for the oil companies versus someone who genuinely believes, because they've been listening to the propagandists from the oil companies? Like,
okay, well, hold on, time out, real quick. This has literally nothing to do with the movie. This is an after-hour conversation.
Okay, fine.
Like, we're talking about Nazis, not hurricanes.
Here's the thing. But you and I both know that after doing Tropic Thunder, I'm going to forget everything I was thinking of this. So
it down. There's a very simple solution to this. But taking that point, bringing it back into Mother Night, essentially the cowards are the ones who are saying like, well, I'm not responsible. I didn't do any of it. I just sent people to go do it and stuff like that. It's like, okay, so you're getting away with it because you were too much of a chicken shit to be boots on ground. That is not an excuse for you to get away with it because you still pushed it. You made is a general responsible for ordering an army to go do something? Yes. Doing my very best not to go overly political, but realistically, January 6th, that was none of that would have happened without Donald Trump. So can we, obviously the leaders are still to be held responsible. To tie it back into what you were saying, the leaders in denial when there is epic, catastrophic results, yes, they should be held responsible. I mean, good God, all these billionaire climate deniers, absolutely. Take every single dime they have and put it towards climate research.
I'm not against that. Yeah.
No, these things make complete sense, but no, the aspect of only the ones who literally had hands-on being responsible for decisions being made. No, I'm not cool with that.
No, of course not. But that's the question. In that's kind of where I feel it's sticky, is in the land of full respect for free speech. How do we know where to draw the line between a bullshitter and a true believer? Because they sound exactly the same.
After our conversation, man, talking about holding responsibility for the ones in charge, that is I can get on board with that for the show conversation. That is we could talk about that for straight up an hour. There's no way we can talk about that during the main show.
Okay. All right, fine. And I'm here. And you know what? For the record, it was important that I give that preface to what I was going to say, because there are too many propagandists that couch their calls to action in the form of a question. And it was important that I say that I'm not doing that, this is a real, actual question, because I was about to shit talk propagandists while talking like one. I needed to say that was not what I was doing, okay? So
that's fair.
A little trust from you every once in a while would be nice, sir. Why are you always defending creepy people? Fuck you, brother.
It's the devil's advocate thing, and I know that it is. It's whichever one of us tackles something first, the other one goes for it, and because I'm the one doing the notes, you jump in on that. It puts you in a rough position. I do empathize. But you are right. I will.
Thank you.
No, but I still stand by that, though. You have to write shit down for the after hour. So when we get there, we're not sitting there just like, what were all those things that we wanted to talk about?
That is, okay, you're right there. You have a very good point there. That is a problem. We
have done that a few too many times. All right, jumping in on part 2 of tonight's episode is going to be Tropic Thunder, which, oh God, I love it so much. What a movie. No. What a wildly different movie from part 1.
Yes. No, I don't think I know I've said this before, but I've meant it every time. I don't think we could have picked 2 more different movies.
No, especially half-ass. One starring Nick Nolte, the other one heavily with Nick Nolte.
Mm-hmm.
And just what a difference. But Tropic Thunder, directed by Ben Stiller, written by Justin Theroux, Etan Cohen, and Ben Stiller. Starring Ben Stiller, Robert Downey Jr., Jack Black, Brandon T. Jackson, and Jay Baruchel. With Steve Coogan, Danny McBride, Bill Hader, Matthew McConaughey, Tom Cruise, and Nick Nolte. And realistically, a few others.
Yeah.
There's no denying. I mean, there's a lot in this movie. But oh my God, you just want to get right into it?
Let's do this. Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
This movie is one of those, like, this is a comedy that went way harder than it needed to.
True, but it's kind of like covering a Marx Brothers film or a Monty Python film. There's so many jokes.
Yep.
I mean, it's just, oh my, and I don't think any of them don't land.
No, yeah. And
Kinda
it's also
crazy.
interesting too. Like right out of the gate, I know this is probably your first note. Right out of the gate, we start with
Opening on a compilation of our stars, done like actual trailers before the DreamWorks and Productions card. Oh my God. Final thing on Mother Night. That is a Fine Line Studios production, which is an offshoot of New Line Cinema.
Oh, right. Yes, that's right. New Line Cinema. Yep. And that's what we get. The what is it? Which one of the movies is it? Jack Black's movie is New Line Cinema?
No. Mother Night. Mother Night was an offshoot of New Line Cinema. That's what I was saying.
Okay, but okay, I thought you were talking about how like one of these trailers that we see, it says New Line Cinema.
They might have been. I completely missed it. If it was it the farties fart 2?
I think it was. Yeah.
Okay.
I could be wrong on that one though.
But done like, yeah. And we get Booty Sweat from Al Pacino. The Scorcher teasers for Tug Speedman, played by Ben Stiller. And that line, who left the fridge open? Right. Perfect tag. Action movies.
So
that's where stuff like that belongs.
What's amazing about this is that we've got Ben Stiller in a movie with Tom Cruise, where Ben Stiller is playing basically his Tom Cruise ripoff that made him famous back when he was doing his sketch comedy show.
Oh my God, I forgot about his impression of Tom Cruise. Yeah, Ben Stiller, like that skit with Ben Stiller being Tom Cruise's stunt double is that is a good one. Good call. Nice callback. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry.
Send in more secret messages there, Brad?
Wrong movie, but nice. Good call. The Fatties Part 2 trailer for Jeff Portnoy, played by Jack Black, and the forbidden gay romance between Kirk Lazarus, played by RDJ, and MTV's Best Kiss winner, Tobey Maguire.
Which is a fantastic way.
So good.
It's a fantastic way to introduce us to our four main characters by showing us what their career looked like up to this point through the forms of these commercials for their other projects.
Perfect.
Which, by the way, were you also, as soon as the Booty Sweat commercial came on, just went, it's fucking booty juice, man. Like they ripped off our man Rusty.
Oh my God, Rusty Kundiev.
Yeah.
Oh my God, no, that didn't even come to mind.
Oh, every time they said booty sweat, I was thinking about booty juice.
No, oh my God. See, this one lives in my brain. That one doesn't. That's the, okay, fair enough.
It's the which came first thing. You saw this movie first. I saw Fear of a Black Hat first, so that's how it works.
That is just how that goes, yeah. The narration from Nolte as Sergeant Four-Leaf Tayback. This. Of the 10 men sent, 4 returned. Of the 4, 3 wrote books about what happened. Of those 3, 2 were published. Of those 2, just 1 got a movie deal. This is the story of the men who attempted to make that movie. That is the greatest opening narration ever. I couldn't stop laughing the whole time. And I've seen this so many times. It's ridiculous.
Right. Yeah.
No, I love it. The Vietnam battle scene, fantastic music in the opening. Through the whole movie. I mean, if you have a Vietnam movie...
The music rights they got for this movie almost outshine the A-list cast they got.
Well, that's the thing. If you're doing a Vietnam movie, you have to get these songs. Creedence Clearwater Revival, obviously, you gotta. There's no Vietnam movie that doesn't have that. I'm fairly certain about that. And Anthony Rui Vivar gets got, which if you like, it's teeny tiny, such a small cameo, probably wouldn't even like notice it. But he's from Starship Troopers and the Adjustment Bureau. Like he is, you know him if you go back and look at him. Black is playing a mean dude. I like that. Baruchel, the nervous guy who gets hurt, and Jackson is full stereotype. And, you know, RDJ in Tropic Thunder. With
it's controversial. It's
the controversial skin pigmentation.
Right, yeah. But that's the thing is, like, it's a controversial thing to anybody who hasn't seen the movie. Like, that is the joke. Everybody hates this guy because he's doing blackface.
It is remarkably, and like I said, I've said this before, like, it's one of my guilty pleasures is watching like YouTube reactors, but watching black YouTube reactors react to Tropic Thunder. It is remarkably it's amazing how I have never seen somebody have a problem with this. It is the craziest thing, and I love it because you can't do this unless you do it perfect.
Yep.
That's the whole point. They see Stiller getting blasted and RDJ survive. That line should not be that hilarious.
That whole scene was, like I said, this movie goes way harder than it should. Like this scene, we are watching a Vietnam battle scene in a comedy movie about the making of Vietnam war movies. Usually those we're setting the scene of the movie scenes last like 2 minutes before they get into the rest of the movie. This one goes on for like 15 minutes. Like we get a lot of Vietnam movie before we get to the comedy part, with some comedy thrown in, mostly from RDJ doing his bit, a little bit from what's his name, the nervous guy. I know I should know his actor's name. Baruchel, yeah, because we see him in so much stuff. But like, because we do get a little, because they are showing us a little bit of the things that if this were an actual Vietnam movie, they would have cut this part out. But they left it in this. So we are getting a little bit of that. This is a movie comedy going on. But yeah, it is a long ass battle scene before we get to the point where Ben Stiller goes, "Can we call cut? This isn't working." You know. Like,
well, yeah, and the thing that he calls cut on is like he can't cry. He can't cry, and he's trying real hard, and you're watching him try to force the tears out. And RDJ isn't crying either. He's just making the face for it, which is what makes the scene wildly ironic. Like it's neither of them are crying, but one of them is like cracking down on the other because he can't cry. Like it was killing me. I love it. But then you kind of wonder like who's the real diva here? Is it RDJ? Is it Ben Stiller? And then you're like, no, it's everybody in this scene.
Literally everyone, yes.
Everybody. Nobody is the healthy actor or anything like that. Kind of Baruchel, but that's because he's the new guy. Yeah. He hasn't been influenced. He hasn't been like the brainwash hasn't kicked in. That hasn't surrounded himself with nothing but yes men. He's the normal guy. So I like that. Okay, so RDJ has a million fantastic lines in this. So I had to be very choosy over which ones I actually put in there. But when he's walking away from set and he looks back at the director, he's like, "Can I go make a pee-pee?" The smile he puts on his face, all of this, like, a role you cannot do. It was perfect. I mean, I gotta move forward. I just can't.
Right.
The bombs go. Oh, go ahead.
This does remind me of one thing that I remember hearing. I can't remember the name of the movie, but there was a movie some years ago where RDJ was co-starred with Zach Galifianakis of all people. If you can imagine.
Oh no, that was a fun one.
I never saw it. I do remember it. Like people saying it was pretty good, but I never got around to seeing it.
Like Road Trip or I do remember, Due Dates.
Something like that. Yeah.
No, it's Due Date.
Okay. But yeah, like I remember seeing an interview with RDJ afterwards where he says, I know this is going to sound weird, but I think Zach Galifianakis may be the greatest actor ever. And the guy goes, why? And he goes like, the dude can pop in and out of character like he's flipping a switch. Like when I'm doing a movie, I've got to like live in the character's mind. I got to spend like a few minutes like thinking about what, who I'm about to become for the. He doesn't have to do that. He's over here cracking jokes with the crew, and then as soon as they go hit your mark, he's on his mark and he's in character. I don't know how he does that. And so to like
That's
the
cool.
weird thing to a certain degree, that whole sort of like trying to stay in character bit that his character in this movie takes to such an extreme, like I think that's part of why he does so well in it, because he kind of is that guy, not to that extreme, but he gets where that guy's coming from. And I think that's probably why he sells it a little too well.
I could see that. Yeah, okay. When the bombs go off, McBride, Mother Nature just pissed her pantsuit. I'm guessing that was improv. I mean, it's Danny McBride, so I'm kind of guessing.
I know I'm in the minority, but I don't like Danny McBride.
You're not in the minority.
Okay. Yeah, he rubs me the wrong
there's
way.
a lot of people. He is not. Nah, he's not the. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Sorry. I mean, some people do, and the people who like him love him.
And that's fine for him. Yes, that's nothing against that. It's just like, yeah, whenever I see him on screen, I'm just like, ugh. Like, and I cannot tell you why.
Hey, fair enough. The first look at Les Grossman caught everyone off guard. So many people didn't realize that was Tom Cruise until way later in the movie, or not until the credits.
Right,
like,
yeah,
kind of crazy. It was awesome. Stoned Portnoy. The whole explanation when you get like the E-News going over it, and you see like Jack Black's character, he's got the heroin addiction. Jackson's character is all about drink the booty sweat, and Bad Boy Lazarus, like, it's funny. It's
right,
funny, like just watching him be the bad boy going over, and then the controversial skin augmentation or skin pigment augmentation.
Right.
And oh my God, just too good. But that was a great way to do an exposition dump. The trailers at the beginning of the movie and this scene like that with Tug Speedman just staring at it and crushing, like, someone close to you said XYZ, and they're like, somebody said they were close to me? Ooh, that line. That moment was... And then you see Christine Taylor being the actor, Ben Stiller's real-life wife, playing opposite of him in the movie within a movie, Simple Jack.
Right.
Good God. Dude, this, like, there's so much to cover in this. It's so complete. Mother Night, definitely
insane.
A must-see. Tropic Thunder, you just must see this.
That's the thing. Yeah. It's like there's, yeah. It's at the point where you kind of sit there and go like, how can we even have a conversation if you haven't seen it, kind of thing. Like, if you're listening to this right now and you have not seen this movie, you just need to turn this off right now and go see it. Yeah, exactly. Like, you're not going to get anything from this. Like, you need to just go see it, you know?
No, there's not going to be any joke that I crack on, any line that I come up with. There's not going to be any reaction that I give that is going to be better, funnier than this movie. Any moment in this movie. Like, I can say that about myself, and I can praise this movie that much. Like, I love this one. Then hello, Matthew McConaughey as the Pecker, and freaking out about the fact that Ben Stiller hasn't gotten his TiVo yet. And I love this, like, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. You're a huge star. But right now, you're the kid on the monkey bars with lice. We need to shave your head and get you back in the game. I love the what do you call it? McConaugheyisms?
I did not know that we were going to give those a name, but okay.
I'm going to give them I'm like something, but the things just the lines that he comes up with, the shit that flies out of his mouth, the SNL skit that Jim Carrey did where he was ragging on him, like what McConaughey just goes into and what comes out of his mouth, they need a specific name.
Yeah.
Because
it's
that is a part of who he is.
With a name like McConaughey, it's really tough to jam something into that doesn't make it unwieldy.
I just found that out when I was trying. But then, like, we get just one tiny little line. How's the adoption going? And then, that pays off later, but just one little line. I liked that. That was good.
Well, it's not just that one little line, but it's also, as he's saying that, he walks into a room where there is a small Vietnamese child in a playpen with 2 armed guards standing behind him. And he's like, I don't know.
Oh, I missed that.
You missed that?
I did. I must have been taking notes. The
child in the playpen with the armed... Okay. Real quick question.
I didn't miss anything on Mother Night because I watched it twice. I didn't think I needed to watch Tropic Thunder twice.
When I watched the movie, I watched the director's cut. Which version did you watch?
I didn't watch the director's cut.
Oh, so I got more movie than you did.
Yes, that might be why I didn't see that moment. I don't ever remember seeing that moment.
Okay. Yeah. No, he literally after McConaughey asks him how's the adoption going, while he's still on the phone, Stiller walks into a room where there's a Vietnamese child in a playpen and 2 armed guards standing next to him, and Ben Stiller goes, I don't know. I think all the good ones are taken.
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's free on Amazon Prime right now, so maybe I'll go check that out as I'm going to sleep tonight. Because I'm very curious how I missed that.
Dude, you get to watch Tropic Thunder for the first time again.
The director's cut. That does sound... I'm looking forward to that. I'm very excited for scenes that I've missed. But that does bring up another point, because when we cover a very specific movie that you haven't seen yet, we are definitely covering the director's cut if we can find it.
Okay.
Because it's just so much better. Price is meeting, and hello, Tom. By the way, for those who don't know, the key grip is just the go-to guy. Whatever you need, whatever, just doesn't matter. Key grip. And that is why Les Grossman asks who is the key grip and tells him to go punch the director really hard. And that hit. Wow, that looked like it hurt, but that's because they removed a frame right when the hit took place, so it looked like he got smacked real hard. I like it. They do that. That's clever.
And I love how the guy, he like doesn't even really, when he goes like, I want you to go over there and punch that director really hard in the face. He's like, walks over, like just kind of like doesn't question it, doesn't fight it. He's just like, I guess that is my job after all. And he goes, sorry, and hits him hard. Like,
this is going to be a iffy joke. Sometimes we do like the guys who just follow orders. I don't feel good about that joke, but we did. Part 1 of tonight's episode.
Dude.
I don't feel good about it.
Moving on.
Pushing forward. So who chews the scenery more in this? Is it Tom Cruise, Nick Nolte, or Bill Hader? Because Bill Hader, he's the underrated one in this scene, but he pushes everything a little bit further.
Dude, I would not be surprised if before they shot these scenes, Ben Stiller as the director walked up to each one of those guys. I think he walked up to Tom Cruise and was like, "So I just heard Bill Hader saying he thought you were a pussy and couldn't handle the scene." Like,
I actually have a funny story about Bill Hader and Tom Cruise on Tropic Thunder.
Oh, really? Okay.
So on Vanilla Sky, Bill Hader was he was a grip. And he did something, and like I think it knocked Tom Cruise out, or it almost did, or like almost knocked him off. Like, one of his stunts almost went real wrong because of Bill Hader. So when they ran into each other, it was either on Tropic Thunder or at SNL. Tom Cruise went up to Bill Hader and went, "Aren't you the guy who dropped a bucket on me?" Which, could you imagine being the guy dropping something on Tom Cruise?
I mean, look,
come on, you don't know if Meat Morp or Zeep Zop is going to come after you. I mean,
right? Yeah, and I know you don't like it when
that's a crack on
defend
Scientology.
the villains here,
yeah.
right? But it's like Tom Cruise does do, he is the producer of these movies, and he puts himself in these crazy stunts. Like, he's the one who had the bright idea of, how about if I ride on the outside of an airplane? If he died that day,
yeah, Tom Cruise is
would
awesome.
have been blamed for it.
Yes, Tom Cruise is absolutely awesome. I'm not gonna well, I'm the one who said it, so obviously I'm not gonna debate it. But there are so many stories of people that are on set with Tom Cruise and all of this stuff, and he is a shining example of a pretty good guy to work with, a guy you want to work with. He always pushes the envelope. He really wants to give it his full. He never asks for anything more from somebody else than he asks from himself. Obviously, he does everything. And there was a cool story of a guy, I think it was on Top Gun Maverick. One of the co-stars on that, he wanted to work out with him. And Tom Cruise offered, he's like, yeah, come work out with me. Like, we'll hit the gym and all that. But when the actor went to go join Tom Cruise, they wouldn't let him through the door. And he's like, oh, okay, yeah. Tom asked, like, why weren't you there? He said they wouldn't let him in. Tom went and chewed those guys out because he's like, that was a moment with me and a younger actor. He wanted to do this. Like, the ones who treated him like he was a diva that wanted that type of stuff got chewed. And the ones that were trying to respect what he said didn't. I like that story.
Okay.
Because there are a lot of people like, no, this isn't inclusive, everything like that. I'm Tom Cruise's bodyguard. I get to say no to you, even though you're a big actor. Like, those type of power trips, I never liked those. I never liked those kind of guys. So yeah. I always liked that story. Sorry, way big sidebar on that. I apologize. Nick Nolte steps up and he's like, and Tom Cruise is like, who are you? He's like, I'm Sergeant Four-Leaf Tayback. I wrote the book. And he's like, you're a great American. Now shut the fuck up. Oh, that was amazing. And then that threat from Tom Cruise about shoving his fist so far up his ass, like, every time you fart, it'll have to tiptoe past my wedding ring. I don't know how many roles there are of Tom Cruise that we get to hear him say stuff like this, but I love it.
That's the only one that comes to mind for me, yeah.
Same. I can't think of another example. But I absolutely love it. Nolte convinces Coogan to go into the jungle and shoot it like guerrilla style and just scare the crap out of all the actors. And it's successful. They get up in a chopper up into the jungle, and it's, you are no longer actors in a movie. You are 5 men in a helicopter. With 3 other men.
It's kind of difficult to really, but like, the funny thing is that Steve Coogan, he's had a few good runs here in America, but for the most part, he's a British comedy actor, and he's not really as well known in America as he is in England. And it's just one of those things where it's like, this dude seemingly came out of nowhere. He didn't come out of nowhere. He's a seasoned comedian. We just don't know him in America that well. But the role he plays in this movie, like, I've never seen anything like it before or since, honestly. Just the way he does this.
That is fair. We find out that Black left the bulk of his heroin stash behind, and the name of the game playing in the background is too good for this scene. It never doesn't work for a scene like this. It's why it keeps getting used over and over again, because it's perfect. Right. Okay, collecting the cell phones, and RDJ's legit has no phone, and Stellar hides his. Great actions to pair up with the characters.
Mm-hmm.
This is a fantastic comedy, all of that, but still, all of the decisions that the characters make sense to the story and the characters, which is another reason why this one is so damn good. The whole thing makes sense, which is weird considering what we're talking about.
Right. Yeah. Well, and it's like it makes me wonder. Like we know that there's three writers on this screenplay. I'm curious to know how long they were writing it. Because
Good question.
there's so many parts of this where it seems like they came up with a joke and they just had to find a way to backtrack how to make that joke work in the movie. But instead of doing what most movies do, which is just put in your little setups where you can, they turned every lead up to that joke into its own joke. Like they took time and worked out they made sure that every page of this script had a purpose, even if that purpose ultimately was just to pay off a fart joke later on in the movie. which happens. They literally do like 20 minutes of lead up to fart jokes just so they could have an actual fart joke in the movie.
Wow. Ben Stiller came up with the idea for Tropic Thunder back in 1987 during the production of Empire of the Sun. So,
okay. Yep.
While.
That makes perfect sense. This was a pet project. This was a magnum opus for Ben Stiller, and it shows.
Very much. That's amazing. Wow, they spent almost 20 years straight on no. He didn't actually spend that much time on it. It's when he conceived of the idea, let's be real, off and on throughout the years for sure. But still, almost 20 years thinking about it before production went in back in, I think, 2006. If I'm correct there?
I'm not sure, but that sounds about right.
Fair enough. Yeah. Moving forward. Coogan explains the game, and then pop, all the parts all fall, and the looks from all of them, and then Jack Black. Yeah.
There is a risk to take in a comedic silence in just how long you want to make that. And
it was good.
This one was a little longer than usual, but yeah, it worked. And it's a tough one. I have only seen one example where the comedic pause went longer and still worked.
And it is?
Oh, it's called Unicorn Store.
We'll have to talk about that another time. I've never even heard of that.
Yep.
True Tran hears Black, and they see the mine and argue about what just happened, playing with that head, and True Tran's on the radio just, they have no fear of death. Like, it was awesome. And McBride fanboying all about Nick Nolte's like, I don't know what it's called, just know the sound it makes when it kills a man. And the look from McBride is like, what? I love that McBride kind of like, it showed that he keyed in a little bit early right there. I thought that was good. I really appreciated that. Also feeds into a perfect response way later in the film. And so happy that they waited so long for that. But also the thing is, if Nick Nolte was not the one who delivered that line, I may not have remembered that line for it to be paid off.
That's the thing.
There's really something to be said about that.
Yep. And it's like we were saying in Mother Night, how he has that distinctive voice and how he had to work to hide it when he's in the second half of his life kind of thing. Here he does the Nick Nolte thing where he's so growly in everything he says that he could say something like, "Oh, you look pretty today," and it's like, okay, call the police. Like,
oh, very much so. Completely agree. Yeah. You don't want a phone call from Nick Nolte. That will scare you. I can see that. So Ben Stiller finds the script, and then everything, the ambush, getting shot at, everything is matching what is supposed to happen in the script, which just designs the situation to continue, and fantastic. Start acting, and then RDJ fights back, except Stiller comes like, if you don't think this is real, then why are you still acting? And
why are you why are you still in character? And he's like, well, I know why, but I don't need to tell you why.
Yep. I don't cut character until the DVD commentary. Which, what a line. I mean, these lines, they're never gonna leave my brain. The grenade matches the explosion, and Load and Lock just just to show that Ben Stiller is an idiot. It's not lock and load. The freaking action star guy is load and lock. Fantastic decision. Just to do that in reverse. I mean, just loved it. Great decisions. Of course, Run Through the Jungle has to play at this point because it's a Vietnam movie, technically. And Jeff Portnoy trying to go for his jelly beans. And then Baruchel comes up and he like drops them all. He's like, you think you're the only one who gets sick when they don't have their jelly beans? And just the confusion on Baruchel's face. It was too perfect. Oh god, the confusing hand signs.
He was weirdly in his element as everyone else's foil. We've got four guys all playing massive prima donnas, and the one guy who just wants to be their friend.
Which the way that hits when he's trying to talk to RDJ later on.
Right.
Oh, that one got me.
Like, you talking to me?
That got me. There you go. RDJ bonding with Ben Stiller about getting buff and all that. No, not that. But about Rain Man, like, you never go full. Like,
right, yeah.
Never go full blown. And Rain Man, Gump, and being there. All examples of the good way to go. And then you get Sean Penn and I Am Sam. Went home empty-handed.
Which was a ridiculously fantastic movie, and it's weird.
Yeah, I think it's because they didn't want to praise somebody performing
like he was they didn't want to make it look like they were making fun of it or something like that.
Exactly.
Okay.
I think that was early liberal white guilt tanking I Am Sam.
Okay. All right.
It's my guess. They find the body and the hooks come off. I almost blinded Jamie Lee Curtis on the set of Freaky Friday. So he's like, you can't tell anybody about this, I'll be ruined. That actually happened. Jamie Lee Curtis almost got injured on the filming of Freaky Friday.
Oh, I did not know that.
So that is a real thing that they were referencing, which was kind of crazy. And I had to look it up and find out if it was McBride who was working on that movie, because a lot of actors get started in other departments. But sadly, It wasn't. So not as fun as I wanted that to be.
We were talking about earlier how Bill Hader almost broke Tom Cruise. So it wouldn't have been that weird to have two of those in the same movie.
That would have been, yep. I would have loved that. Steppenwolf's The Pusher plays with the bat stealing the drugs. And, come on, that fake peeing scene. And then RDJ coming out. It smelled like bologna for some reason. That... I don't know what to make of that line, but it's too good. It's too funny. I was having too much fun with that. The soda can and shiver from Stiller. Well, he goes to fake pee too, but he stabs the soda can and it goes everywhere. And then when you're peeing, sometimes you get the shivers. Like, yeah, that hits.
Right.
But like Stiller's overacting of the shivers, like it was just a subtle actor who came up with some great improv in that moment versus what we see from Tug Speedman. Like everything, every decision made sense for the characters. This movie is amazing, but nobody doesn't know that. Like I'm not bringing any news on that one. Oh, when Jack Black catches the bat and then eats it. Fantastic.
Again, this movie went way harder than it needed to. And apparently the version I saw was even harder than what you saw.
I guess so, which I really want to see that. You're going to have to send that over to me. The map fight and very, very famous, hey, what do you mean, you people? What do you mean, you people? That.
Right. And that was the clip they put in the trailer to let everyone know, no, it's okay.
No. We know what we did.
What you see here. Yeah, we get what you see here. We're just letting you know that we know what we did too.
Yep. And I remember that was in the trailer, and yeah, that brought me in on it too. That was good. Oh, Let's go find those Viet Congs. It's Viet Cong. You wouldn't say Chinese's. That line, I love that line. That's too good. Chinese's. I love it. Compliments him, talking about how buff he is, about Rocco. Not Rocco, Rocky. No.
Oh, right.
Rambo. Yeah. That's where I got Rocco. That's too dumb. I can't even cut that out. Oh, man. But he compliments him.
Live with that for the rest of your life.
Yeah, I'm going to have to let that one stay. But he compliments him into, give me that goddamn map. I'm sorry, RDJ, like, I love the voice that he chose for this role. It was too funny. It was too good. I was laughing so much. And I like that. Yeah, there you go, man. They split up. He's like, yeah, go be all you can be, man. Some of these lines maybe they just landed on me. I don't know. But I loved them. And again, a Vietnam movie playing, so you have to play Sympathy for the Devil.
Right.
I don't think you have a choice. I think it's like Rian Johnson not being allowed to let the good guy or the bad guy have an iPhone. I think contractually, you have to have these songs. You didn't know that.
No, I did not know that.
That's what kind of gave away Knives Out, the first one for me, is because the only two characters in the entire movie that didn't have an iPhone were Marta and Chris Evans.
Is that a Rian Johnson thing, or is that what a studio thing? It would be weird.
I think that's a Rian Johnson thing. It's a contract he has with Apple. The bad guy can't use Apple products in his movie or in any of his movies.
That is so weird.
It is, and it also kind of it sucks because it gives you hints that you shouldn't have.
Yeah, I'm glad I didn't notice it.
In Glass Onion, Edward Norton, he gives Benoit an iPad, but he tosses it to him off screen. Edward Norton is never seen holding the iPad. It's clever. Yeah. It's clever how he pulls it off, and he does it. But it's kind of a stupid thing. It's like The Rock not being allowed to lose a fight.
Right. I would much prefer we just not have Apple products at all in movies. So
I think I would like going back to just covering up logos so everything is generic. I think that would be a better way to go. Baruchel explaining DVD versus Blu-ray, and oh man, I've been there. You talking to somebody and like you're like thinking they're listening and like all that, but you're like, have you been talking to me this whole time? Oh, oh man, been there. Oh, I've been there. But Reggie Lee shows up, and I love that every time because I got to work with Reggie Lee in Portland.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Well, yeah, he was in Grimm.
I did not know that. No, I've never actually watched Grimm.
Oh,
I'm meaning to, because he's filmed in my hometown, and it sounds like my kind of show. I really should have been watching it, but I wasn't for some reason.
And a few of your friends are in it, so
then that too, yeah.
There's reasons to watch it. But no, there was one day I got hired as a stand-in, body double, something like that, for David Gintoli, the star of Grimm, and I was playing and opposite was Reggie Lee. And he just came in. He had a stand-in that was technically there, but he didn't use him. He just came up and decided to mess with me and have some fun with me and crack jokes. I mean, nothing like super memorable, but he was just such a cool and chill guy. And I loved meeting him. And he's another one of those, just a celebrity win.
So you're saying that Reggie Lee is one of those guys who got bored and decided to do his job.
Pretty much. But hey, I liked it. It's how I got to meet him.
Right, yeah.
Otherwise, I never would have met him. It's kind of weird. I don't have any bad stories of any of the actors on Grimm. Leverage, Librarians, some of the other shows that I did some work with, nothing. Not a one about anybody who was on Grimm.
Oh, okay.
I wonder how they pulled that off.
Good question.
Moving on. Chino and Lazarus, you're Australian. Be Australian. Like, in response to him, like talking about like, oh, back home before the war, get some chitlins going and all this, like just being
right,
like trying to be as stereotypical as his brain can take him. And I like that. Like as Al Pacino walks away, RDJ was like, I get excited about my foods, man. Relatable. I could see myself getting caught up and pulling some stupid stuff like that too, just being really excited about food because I'm an idiot. I could see that happening.
Food's important, man.
Yeah. And then Stiller's watching Star Trek, which I thought was just where, why, how. But
well, it was on his phone. He probably brought some with him, but that's
no,
a weird.
I know,
for his
but
character,
still.
It's a weird choice. It's a
Thank
weird choice
you.
for his character. Yes.
Thank you. But then killing a panda, and then his epic response to that, like freaking out in sadness and depression, and then wearing it. All right, cool. But then McBride finds out that Nick Nolte was actually a Coast Guard garbage man. And that's not me knocking the Coast Guard. He was literally in the sanitation department of the Coast Guard. I want to be very clear on that because we've kind of talked about the fact I'm a veteran and we tend to knock the Coast Guard quite a bit.
Oh, okay. I was not aware that there was a beef, but okay.
I don't think it's a beef. It's just a very one-sided series of jokes.
Okay, I got you.
But you gotta give it to them. They're the ones who go out to those like oil refineries that out in the ocean and stuff like that. Like the ones in the Coast Guard who do, they do.
Sure, yeah.
Like there's some genuine ass heroes in there. Like I'm not discounting that in any way. Stiller's got a new hat, the panda. That was a weird way to put that. And McConaughey goes into crisis mode about a hooker, thinking that Stiller killed a hooker, the thing he loved the most, not a panda. I had fun with that. That was killing me. But the thing that he freaks out about is there's still no TiVo.
Right.
Love that.
Because that's his job. He's the agent. He's supposed to make sure of these things. It's the one problem, and especially now when I can't remember what the clue in was that he might be thinking of another agency or something like that. And so now he's like, now my job's in the line. I got to make sure that, so it's like, it's
like I'm moving on. I'm in a whole different world now. Like I've way moved on, like something like that. Yeah. And he kind of freaks out about that.
So it's one of those, like everything else in this movie, it's all blown way out of proportion, but at the same time, at its base makes sense. Nobody does anything in this movie. Yeah, nobody in this movie does anything that doesn't make any sense, unless except for the characters that themselves don't make sense. But even they kind of make sense because actors.
Okay, I can give you that.
Yeah.
Chino versus Osiris again. The dingo ate my baby, and the N-word slap.
That was a real story,
That is a child. That is a real story. That is also a real story. Like that was the mother was arrested because they thought that she lied, but they actually found the evidence eventually. No, that is a genuine real story. Like
right.
I didn't know that the woman got arrested because they thought that she killed her baby, though. That I found out actually, I think earlier this year. Still kind of crazy. But RDJ slaps Jackson for saying the N-word and then gets that hug and starts like acting out the theme song from the Jeffersons. That was good. Popping black up on the back of an ox. And Stiller still thinks he's in the POW camp, scene 67. And he keeps like spitting at the one dude and they just keep going like back and forth, which with Ben Stiller directing this movie and the way he broke it, he's like, no, okay, do it again, spit in my face again, all that. I'm wondering if that was him actually directing the guy and they just decided to keep it in.
You never know. You never know. With
that is true.
Guys.
You just don't. Like they're too good. I know, and I got the weirdest craving to go watch Heavyweights now. I know. We'll space out the Ben Stiller movies a little bit. We won't actually do that.
For me, it would be Dodgeball.
Ooh, God, too good. I love that movie. Mm-hmm. Too good, too fun. I love it. Young Brandon Suhu watching over, dude. This guy was such a badass kid.
Oh, the little warlord kid. Right. Brandon?
Yeah,
His name's Brandon?
yeah, his name is Brandon Suhu, and he is an outstanding martial artist. If you remember G.I. Joe, The Rise of Cobra, he was one of those.
I would remember it if I ever saw it.
There's only one real reason to watch that movie, and it's the origin, like the Snake Eyes being a kid.
Okay.
Because him fighting Kid Snake Eyes, that is that fight you what?
Okay.
It's kind of insane. Like just go to YouTube and like watch that clip or something. It's amazing. Especially
Yeah, no,
considering
after the first G.I. Joe movie, I didn't even bother with any further ones. I almost
that
swore
was the
off
first
all
G.I. Joe
Mattel.
movie.
I don't remember that in the first one.
Yeah, the two like Snake Eyes as a kid, going to the dojo, everything like that.
Don't remember any of that.
Okay, well you said you
Okay.
would remember it, so
I guess I was right. Well, this thing is that the first one was so bad. That's the I must have put it
It
out
was
of my
rough.
head because, yeah, I guess I must have just assumed that you were talking about the second one for some reason. But yeah, no, I almost swore off Mattel movies entirely after that one. That's how I.
I didn't know there was another Mattel movie besides Barbie after that, but
Isn't Transformers Mattel?
I have okay, fair enough. I have no clue. That is not a world I know about, care about. Okay, I'll give you that. They see the processing plant, and Jack Black's character is just wide-eyed, like all the heroin in the world. That oh my, I loved it. It was amazing. They see that they got Ben Stiller, and then Tran with the dragon on his tum tum, and then Ben Stiller just kind of looking like, were there some rewrites?
Yeah, they're water torturing him, and he's trying to yell "cut" between every dunk of the water.
Yeah, just oh god, I had fun with this one. But then, yeah, they beat him into being Simple Jack, and then they all bow before him as Simple Jack. And he's like, and that one dude in the background, you should have got Oscar. And it's like, no, man, just to be nominated. And they're like, you were nominated? He's like, no. Just if I would have been, it would have been nice. That was a great moment. And then the Pecker versus Grossman. And I like that. I was like, what do you need, Peck? He's like, I don't know. What do you need? Glasses? To the guy wearing glasses. And his confusion is perfect. No way around that. Absolutely perfect. And then they get the call, we are Flaming Dragon, and then the representation misunderstanding that came around that one.
Right, yeah. Yep.
I'm sorry, man, but Reggie Lee's responses to Cruz's threats, and then just Peck is in the back like, yeah. Oh, yeah. I loved it, man. It was good. Tug being forced to perform wearing that other guy's dentures.
Oh,
I'll gag every time I see that.
yeah, that was something.
The actor's figuring it out, and Al Pacino like calling out RDJ cleaning a gun with no bullets, and I'm just like a little boy playing with his ding dong if he's nervous. Like, I mean, he obviously didn't say ding dong, but I'm still trying to play with the algorithms and make sure that I'm trying here. Portnoy has the cat.
Look, we just did a whole hour on Nazis. I think basically confusing the algorithm as much as possible would be our best bet right now. So say whatever the fuck.
I hear you. That's kind of like one thing I do kind of, we'll talk about that later.
All right.
Portnoy has the catapult idea from his movie Sex Camp. And I love that he looks at Baruchel and he's like, remember? And he's like, yeah. Like, it's like this dumb, irreverent comedy that is definitely for like pervy, horny teens and stuff like that. So he looks at one guy and I love that he was actually correct that he saw it. And no, that was too much fun for me. No, we'll do it just like in the book or the script. Nobody read the book. Nobody read the script. And RDJ's response, I don't read the script. The script reads me. Fantastic. Turning Cruz's office into the Situation Room. And Flaming Dragon demands $100 million. And instead of $100 million, I'll send you a hobo's dick cheese. That is a hell of a line from Tom Cruise. I mean, wow.
Mm.
But again, I love the fact that it's so hard to tell that it's Tom Cruise in this. Even when you know it's Tom Cruise, you're still looking at it going, how? Like, that is a fantastic part of this.
Like I spend every time he's on screen, I spend too much of the time sitting there going like, are those his real hands?
No, that was a specific note that he said for it. He had an idea. And he told Ben Stiller, he's like, I don't know why. I really see him with really fat hands. That was like one, like the dancing was Tom Cruise's idea. The fat hands was Tom Cruise's idea. Tom Cruise deserves a lot of credit for a lot of the comedy in this, and you just don't expect that from Tom Cruise.
No, yeah.
I mean, at least I don't. But then you go watch movies like Night and Day.
Branded himself.
Go ahead.
I said he certainly hasn't branded himself that way. That's for sure. Like even before Mission Impossible, it was movies like Vanilla Sky and stuff like that. He's very much like a serious guy. He seems to be okay.
Did you ever
with
see
comedy.
Night and Day?
I don't think I have. It doesn't sound familiar.
That's the movie that he plays opposite of Cameron Diaz, and honestly, it's really weird how funny he is in that.
Okay.
Like you kind of wonder like why he doesn't do more comedy roles. But I mean, Tom Cruise is Tom Cruise. He's busy.
Well, I feel like he did a lot of comedy in his early days. Like, wasn't his first big movie
Really?
Risky Business? That was a comedy.
It was one of his bigger ones, but I mean, come on. You think Tom Cruise, you think the Mission Impossible movies, you think Steel Magnolias, you think Top Gun. None of those are funny.
No, yeah. And maybe that's it. Maybe it's just by the very nature of the fact his comedies didn't, other than Risky Business, his comedies didn't really hit the way his action movies or his drama movies did. And so he's kind of stuck himself in this rut, maybe.
The biggest movie star in the world is not stuck in a rut. I gotta say, I mean, whatever he wants to do is what he wants to do. So I cannot say it's a rut. And what he wants to do
is strap himself on the outside of an airplane, apparently, not be funny.
That's not a rut. I want to do that. I just can't find anybody that will let me. Tom Cruise just gets to do whatever he wants, and people throw millions of dollars behind it to let him do it. If I could find that kind of backing, I'd do all the same things, just not run as fast or as far.
Okay, fair. But I mean, if that were true, why isn't he doing more comedy? Because he clearly likes to. If he's willing to go this hard out for Les Grossman, why is this like the only funny thing we've seen him do since the?
Well, I don't think he's in a rut. I think it's what he wants. I think he's doing what he wants to do. I can't think that there's somebody out there telling Tom Cruise that he's not allowed to do something unless it's like the head of the Scientology church.
From my understanding, yes, that's exactly what happens. But,
probably
rumors. So who can say for sure?
Oh yeah, there's that. Peck struggle with the business aspect of the industry and with Cruise dancing. And he's like, you want me to turn on my best friend and abandon him, somebody I've been close to for 15 years, for a G5 airplane? Like, Tug's performance is getting better, and RDJ is sitting back there kind of critiquing him as he's doing it and really explaining about the human experience and all shit. And then Pacino, whack! Told you I'd get you back. It was good. I liked it. Portnoy wants out because he knows that he's going to be a risk to it. And I like that RDJ had them was like, are we cool? And Al Pacino's like, not really. Like, nobody lets him off the hook for doing blackface in this movie. And that's another reason why it worked. Nobody was cool with it. That was a great idea. Confessing to the others that Jack Black confessing to the others that he's an addict. And then like, yeah, you take me down there, I'm going to do all the heroin in the world. Can't do it. Like the decisions that were made for this are too good. They're all golden. And Then we get our introduction to Half Squat. Ben Stiller's adopted, or Tug Speedman's adopted baby.
Here's the thing: is this kid is more of a prop than anything else. He's just sort of there, but he has his own payoff, and it is probably the most golden payoff in the movie, in my personal
It's up
opinion.
there. It is up there. I have to give you that. Portnoy attached to the tree and them talking about romance. And your mother's a cankerous whore. Hey guys, remember way back when I said your mother's a cankerous whore? I didn't mean that. And then we find out Alpa's gay. And the way we do is like, you gotta look her right in the eye. And what's her name? Lance. Lance. You gotta say, listen here, Lance. Lance, what the fuck did I just hear? There's a little bit of homophobia in the scene, but not really, because nobody cares except Alpa.
Right, exactly, and I think that seems like more of a commentary on the homophobia of mainstream hip hop culture than actual homophobia.
You gotta wonder if that's about to change, considering everything we found out about how many of the hip hop mainstream culture is at least fluid.
It was bound to happen eventually.
Yeah, fair.
I think H.Y.S.T even like tried to nudge it a little bit with like there was a couple episodes of that fucking
SVU?
cop show he's on. Thank you, SVU. Jesus Christ. I forgot SVU. Time to check me in. But yeah, he's a couple of those episodes of SVU. He had a little nod to like the secret gay culture of masculine black neighborhoods and stuff like that. And so he's trying. He's not stepping all the way out and making a statement, but he's trying.
Okay, I'm curious. What makes you think that was Ice-T's decision to include that in the show?
He could always say no. He's Ice fucking T, man.
Well, I guess. You know more about that show and the actors in that show than I do. I have literally no idea. I know Ice-T more from his music, honestly, than I do from his acting.
Okay.
I never got... I don't like procedural cop shows. It's like emotional torture porn.
Oh, I feel you there, yeah.
Yeah, it's not my thing. But I'm gonna say this on the air. It's kind of nuts that I'm gonna say this on the air, but it's also very understandable because I don't think there's many people who don't know where it comes from, so you can't really clip it as though it's me saying it. I'll cradle the balls, stroke the shaft, work the pipe, and swallow the gravy. Get it over here, buddy. Let's do this. Jack Black's greatest line of his whole career.
Is what that was.
It's amazing. The delivery, the hilarity. There's nothing about that was not absolutely incredible.
That was the songwriter in him coming out right there. Like that was a Tenacious D line that didn't quite make it into a song.
Oh, I completely agree. And sneaking into the compound, McBride and Nolte find out that they aren't at fault, which sends them into heaven. And like that, RDJ sneaks in with, or comes up with Jack Black and tries to turn him in, and mispronounces like that he's a rice field versus a poppy farm. And he goes, and the little kid like, "Where's your farm?" Comes out, "Here's my farm. I'm a lead farmer, motherfucker."
Again, this movie went way too hard, but it worked.
See, you keep saying it went too hard, but you know what? No, it didn't. It did perfect. It went exactly where it needed to go. They didn't have any hesitation. They had the skill, the talent, and the caliber of actors to actually sell these lines. No,
it's true. That is true.
Incredible. Now, so they take control of the situation, and then Jack Black has the tiny little drug kingpin, and he's like, All right, now show me where the drugs are. Runs away in his underwear. Just don't judge me. Just loved it. Loved it too much. And then Alpa's having trouble keeping him down, and the one guy just keeps listing Al Pacino movies.
Right.
And I like that. Like, Jackson's like, man, that's an entirely different person. That was great. Nolte and McBride prep for our big finale. And McBride, I don't know what it's called. I only know the sound it makes when it lies. That is the payoff that I was talking about earlier, that if you didn't have Nick Nolte as the one saying that line, I might not have remembered it.
Right, exactly.
Very good. Black gets dressed and Cyrus finds Tug, and then he's like, I'm not going anywhere. And shows up with his little stick figure thing. He's like, that's your stick, buddy. The delivery on these lines. Go watch this movie.
This was an amazing scene where you basically have like Robert Downey Jr. Being a character who's trying to stay in character while trying to break someone else out of character. And the intensity that he and Stiller both play with this scene. I mean, it's obviously a nod to Apocalypse Now. Like, they opened it up with Apocalypse Now imagery and everything. Like, it's like, and now we're gonna do our homage to Apocalypse Now. Pay attention. Like, and
the lighting on it and everything. Yeah,
the lighting and home. I am home. Like that whole thing. And. It's like we were saying before about Airplane. Like, what made Airplane work was that these were serious actors not acknowledging they were in a comedy. This is the one scene where these two over actors not acknowledging that they are both overacting.
And it worked.
Yes.
And then Jack Black gets whacked, and Brandon Suhu was. I'm gonna keep singing his praises as a child actor. He was awesome, and I'm gonna look into what he's done recently because I'm genuinely curious. And yeah, the little kid gets tackled. The mountain of heroin, and Portnoy has a hard existential crisis, and they only laugh at my farts. And then he attacks them with the heroin. Let's move. We only have 16 hours before they wake up. Amazing. Get to the chopper, give me your hooks, and then Nolte gets a flamethrower. Watching Nick Nolte have fun with a flamethrower was fun, like a lot of fun.
There are things that, it's like peanut butter and jelly. Nick Nolte and a flamethrower, man, they just go together perfect.
It works. And the very, very famous line from RDJ and Tropic Thunder, I know who I am. I'm the dude playing a dude disguised as another dude. You're the dude who don't know what dude he is. I think the creators, the muse, whoever gave that line to my life, thank you. Thank you. And Tug is able to throw RDJ into his character break. And Buchel and Jackson with all the encouragement. And what do we get back from Ben Stiller? I'm a rooster illusion. If that is an homage or a throw to anything, you're going to have to tell me because I don't know what that is supposed to.
I think is just pure unfiltered Stiller, man. Because
then it was brilliance.
I think that was an improv line. I think they were just like, point the camera at me. I'm going to get into character and I'm going to say as much nonsensical stuff as I can think of. We're going to use whatever 5 seconds works best.
If that's how that went down, they nailed it. 100%. And, the bridge of explosives and all this is, just say no to this, you little drug-making, like, love. I mean, okay, McBride had great moments in this. Even if you don't like McBride, he still delivered.
That's the thing is, like, for as much as, for whatever it's worth, this was kind of the perfect role for him. Like, I think that's kind of how it worked,
And this is the role that he played in a bunch of other movies. Basically, this exact same character.
Right.
It's very few times that I've seen McBride actually do acting outside of being this persona. Like, yeah, different roles and everything like that, different situations, but it's really often this persona. So,
Right.
but a great moment is when they rescue Four Leaf. They're like, "You grew hands?" And everybody freaks out about it in their own way. Jack Black is like freaking out, like, "What? Am I high now? Like, what happened?" When RDJ, as Osiris, finds out, my mind, the movie did not play into this in any way, but my mind, RDJ's character believed that, like, Tayback didn't have hands. So, like, when he saw that he did have hands, like, was he having like a mental break? He's like, "Oh my god, how far did I go into this character? I literally thought this guy had no hands." Like, the movie didn't play that, but that's just me throwing some stuff on there. The truck blowing up brings Tug to life, and all of a sudden he remembers Sandusky's name. He's given orders, everything is clear, they're all the right decisions. But of course, the hero can't have sleeves, so he's got to rip them off so we can see them guns.
Right.
Oh,
because he's an action hero. He knows how it works. He's done 6 Scorcher movies. He knows what the rules are.
There you go. And the double explosion. I always loved that double explosion where Ben Stiller's flying through the air and then another one goes off and it sends him off screen like that. I always thought that was great. That I really did. Then RDJ goes to Stiller for the real life version of the opening sequence. Like, can't feel my legs. Oh, they're in a puddle. They're right there. Oh yeah, look at that. Like, oh look now, you got some real tears going. That's the stuff accolades are made of. Like the encouragement, the break from reality. A couple of actors just not realizing the gravity of the situation around them. golden moments. And Peck shows up and saves the day with the TiVo.
Right.
Great moment. Great moment.
You skipped over the adopted kid payoff we were talking about earlier.
Go for it.
Yeah. So like there is a moment before they get in the chopper and they've got to go, they see that that four leaf is still in there and he's like, "Go without me." Stiller's like, I can go there and talk to these people. They like me. And so he's like, "You guys all go, take the chopper, get away. I'll go." And then he goes back to, and then a couple seconds later, we hear gunfire again, and he's running back towards them, going like, I was wrong. Let's get in the chopper." And while he's doing that running, we see his little adopted child that he was so in love with earlier on his back with a knife, stabbing him super fast and repeatedly. That I think was the funniest fucking thing I had ever seen. That tiny little like Vietnamese or Malaysian child, whatever country they were supposed to be in at that point,
Laos,
just rapidly stabbing the shit out of Ben Stiller's back.
It was great, but the thing is, that one got a huge laugh out of me the first time that I saw it. And I always look forward to seeing it now because I can never forget that. So I can never see that moment again for the first time. Like that, no, everything else in this movie kind of comes and goes. Not that one. But the line that feeds into that is one of my favorite ones of this movie. And it's like when Ben Stiller's like, "I have a son, little half squat." And RDJ, "Who in the crikey fuck is half squat?" Crikey fuck. That. I love that. I love that so much.
And RDJ, his character finally drops the stereotypical black character and turns into a stereotypical Australian.
Perfect. And then they get away, all that, and Tug Speedman wins the Oscar for Tropic Blunder, the movie that they wound up making about the epic failure, about the lie and everything that came out of, oh God.
Right, yeah.
The jubilation on Ben Stiller when he's in the background celebrating over getting the getting the Oscar. unbelievable. But with that, our Alpa got Lance, and Kevin got Jennifer Love Hewitt.
Right? Yeah. Yeah.
What a great little series of happy endings. But the Tom Cruise ending with Bill Hader, just that, seriously, a nutless monkey could do your job. Like, their whole line, like, I love that, like, Bill Hader's like trying to improv. Like, I think this scene, it was supposed to be improv and it was supposed to end, but Tom Cruise kept it going. And that's why you get that moment from Bill Hader. He's like, what are we doing here? Fuck. And because he was supposed to leave. You could see he was trying to leave so hard, but he didn't know well, but he was acting against, like, with Tom Cruise. I want to know how much Tom Cruise was torturing him in that scene.
That's a really good question. Yeah.
Because it sold perfectly. And then the fantastic dance ending from Tom Cruise in that Les Grossman suit.
Yeah.
I love this movie.
That was the big payoff. Yeah, no, this is one of those, like, game-changing comedies, like, right up there with the first Austin Powers movie and, the first Hangover movie, where it's like, we're just going to go into this with, there is no such thing as too much. We're going to go, what's your crazy idea? We're putting it in.
Commit all the way to the bit. All the way.
Yeah.
Final thoughts on Tropic Thunder?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I personally find it hard to believe that there's anybody out there who hasn't seen it. But yeah, I think it's going to go down in history as an iconic comedy, like the ones I just mentioned. And so, yeah, you should definitely see it. Show it to your kids when they're about 16, 17. That's probably about the safe point before, don't show it to them when they're 8 or 9. You're not going to do yourself any favors, but yeah. I think this is going to be one of those persistent classics. I keep meaning to check because, like I said, this is definitely a magnum opus for Ben Stiller. I keep meaning to go look to see what he's done since then, and I keep forgetting. And I can't for the life of me off. Yeah.
The Secret Life of Walter Schmidt was one of the really, really big ones that he did.
I didn't hear about that.
Oh, you should go check that one out.
Did he direct it or did he just act in it?
Oh, I don't know if he directed it. I was wondering what you were researching up on your phone. I figured it was stuff like this.
I just looked up one actor's name. That was it. That's all. I haven't touched my phone since. What are you talking about?
Really? Oh,
yeah.
I thought you'd been looking down. I had no idea what you were looking down at.
Oh.
All right, so let's see. What has Ben Stiller directed since Tropic Thunder? That's the question we're looking for right now. I forgot he directed The Cable Guy.
Right. That was his directorial debut, I think, wasn't it?
I'm not sure. I just wound up seeing that. He directed 7 episodes of Severance, Escape at Dannemora, Zoolander 2, The Secret Life of Walter Mitty, and that's everything he's directed since.
Okay.
So if you want to see another example of his directing, go check out The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. It is a good one.
Okay. I do remember reading the short story in school years back, so it'd be interesting.
Oh, all right. So, the movie fight. Round 1. Who did we care about more between the characters in Tropic Thunder and the characters in Mother Night? I just now realized how much tougher that actually is.
Yeah. Because
you don't care about them in the same way, but you do care about the characters in Tropic Thunder.
Kind of, but you're kind of not supposed to because they are all, but we do see them go on a redemption arc to a certain degree.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, you're still rooting for them to, like, figure it out.
Yeah.
You're not rooting for who they are, you're rooting for who they're supposed to become.
Right. And Mother Night, it's not so much that you start rooting for them as much as you start feeling sorry for them.
You know what? I think just because of the caring aspect, like you feel sorry for him, you care about him, you kind of, God. You know what? I want to give it to Mother Night, just because I wouldn't feel good about getting it to Tropic Thunder.
Okay.
If I'm being honest.
I will not argue that.
Which one did a better job? What in what they were aiming for in the technical aspects. I
also
think
a
Tropic,
draw because they both did perfectly in what they were trying to do in every way.
where that's true, comedy is harder. So I'm leaning towards Tropic Thunder because where Mother Night absolutely succeeded in everything it was trying to pull off, there's no failure or anything like that. It's an adaptation of a book that was put a huge amount of thought into, and it's very by the numbers.
I suppose that's true. There wasn't
Tropic
a lot of
Thunder
risk taking.
took more risks.
Yeah, I suppose
And
that's
when you're
true.
making a movie, using World War II is very low hanging fruit to immediately evoke emotion from the audience. So I think round one
fair.
I want to give to Mother Night. Round two I want to give to Tropic Thunder.
Okay.
Which one I would recommend? See, here's the thing. Mother Night is an absolute must see. Tropic Thunder I would recommend to literally everybody, anybody, all the time, anytime. There's not a time that I would say no.
See,
but also
for me,
to actually be able to say, you want to watch a successful example of blackface? That's kind of an amazing thing to be able to say.
See, for me, it's more of a case of like Mother Night is a movie to recommend. I don't think you really need to recommend Tropic Thunder. This is a well-known movie. It comes up. People talk about it on the internet every year. Some new 18-year-old discovers it for the first time, thinks they just found gold, and tells everybody about it, and the controversy starts all over again every fucking year. And you don't need to recommend this movie to anybody. Nobody's ever heard of Mother Night. No one's going to see it unless you recommend it to them. So you kind of have to.
Where I see where you're coming from with that, I think Schindler's List is a better World War II movie.
That's the reason you would recommend a movie.
Well, no, like see here, like here's the thing, like for where you're kind of going through, you're talking like World War II movies, stuff like that. Mother Night is a controversial film.
Yeah, I don't think I would call it a World War II movie. I think it's a movie about a lot of things that just happens to take place in World War II because that was a time that all of these things were happening.
Okay, no, it's a World War II movie. We can kind of go back and forth on that, everything like that, but main character is playing a Nazi. Everything is about like the eradication of 6 million Jews. I mean,
it's mainly about playing a role for the sake of your own personal comfort and whether or not you become the role you play. The same thing could have played out in like the same setting as Serpent in the Rainbow. You could have done this exact same story with a Tauntaun Maquette as you could with a Nazi. This isn't a World War II movie. This is a personal demons movie.
It's a World War. It takes place in World War II about Nazis. It's a World War II movie. I mean, that's not really. I mean, you have to you struggle with whether you're empathizing or sympathizing with the character that is faking being a Nazi and helping being responsible for the death of so many people. Like, if it was not a World War II movie and the character that you were struggling with was not going through it in World War II, you wouldn't struggle with it as much. The weight of it wouldn't be as heavy.
Again, we could be talking about the Tauntaun Maquettes here. Like, it's harder because you'd have to first explain what the hell they did because their stuff isn't as much in our
and
news.
If they covered the Tauntaun Maquettes, I would say that it was a Tauntaun Maquette type movie. Yeah. This is a World War II movie because the characters are all like the whole thing takes place in World War II and the effects that come after. It is not a war film.
I've never sat down and had a conversation of what do you think is the best World War II movie because that has never come up for me.
That's not where I'm coming from. I'm not talking about war films. I'm not, and yes, I absolutely have had conversations over which is the best World War II movie. I'm sure you have. You're a movie guy.
That is not a legitimate genre.
Which one has told the best story?
World War II is not a genre. It's a set.
Yeah. So what? So
that's like asking, what do you think is the best French movie?
Okay. You can answer that.
No.
You can. What is your favorite French movie? What do you think the best? Like, you can give your opinion. Yeah, you can easily do that. There's no way you can't do that.
Okay, are we talking French romance, French comedy, French horror,
See,
French
if you
procedural?
go into a more specific question, then it changes the question. But you can ask somebody what their favorite, like what they think the best French film is. If you go into more specific, you can like, what's the best, like your favorite, like the best French film in this genre. But still a French film. They
Okay.
all are French films. Any movie that takes place
I don't think is a legitimate.
this, like,
I don't think is a legitimate comparison to say that you might not recommend Mother Night to someone solely because Schindler's List exists.
Then let me finish my argument then. With going with this, if I'm talking about films, like somebody wants to watch a film about World War II, things like that, I would give a recommendation, something like that. That is a conversation I've had. It's just fact. I've had that conversation. I can't really, that is a conversation that people do have. Saving Private Ryan, like, go through which one is the best World War II, Pearl Harbor, Saving Private Ryan. Like, people have those conversations. That is not even kind of out of the ordinary. But when I'm going through, like, when I'm talking about where I'm coming from with a recommendation and stuff like that, it is which one is the best. This movie feels like for the right type of person, but I do know many people that are not the kind of people that would appreciate Mother Night or even understand why I told them to watch it. I think Mother Night is a film for a specific type of person. Or persons. It's a little bit broader, not exactly specific. It's not like Existenz, but it's not going to land on everybody the way that another film like Schindler's List would. It's more specific, so I wouldn't recommend it to everybody like you're saying. I would recommend it to the people that I think it would work for.
All right. I disagree. I would, in fact, recommend this to everybody. And yeah, there might be some people it doesn't land with, but I think that there's a conversation there to be had rather than just not recommending to them.
Well, I don't want to recommend a movie that I know somebody's gonna hate just because I think it's important. I'd recommend a movie that somebody go see because I think it's something that they would appreciate.
But yeah, same here. That's the thing. Like, I would be shocked if someone didn't like it, unless it was like something like, I can't stand Nick Nolte. The sound of his voice grates on me. Like, okay, that's weird, but okay.
Well, there is that. And I think the only thing that actually kind of saves it is the fact that he takes his own life at the end of the movie. If he got away with it, if he got released, if he got his freedom, I wouldn't think this is a good movie.
Well, but that's like, yeah, that's already, that this is where it's ending. Like, even like before he turns himself in, he's standing in the street with nowhere to go. This guy has basically decided he can't go on. He just can't do it himself until he's put in a position where he realizes he's going to have to. He's about to be set free again for like the fourth time.
Nah, I get that. Where we were talking a little bit earlier about like people's white guilt is probably what snubbed I Am Sam at the Oscars.
Mm-hmm.
I feel weird about recommending this one because of a lot of the things that are in it. And it almost pitches. Actually, no, it doesn't almost pitch. It directly pitches that you can't even judge the worst people among us because you don't know what they're doing behind the scenes. I don't like that message. Like, it feels weird.
I did not see it that way, but now that you said it, now I kind of do see it.
Okay, you see where I'm coming from a little bit here, like where it's a little bit dirty, like on the recommendation.
I mean, no,
because you knew about this for a long time, so your brain wasn't going to these places. As I was watching this, it's like, okay, so is this how people defend Alex Jones? But that's what I'm saying. People are going to see this. They're going to see it, and they're going to like, and the questions that are going to come up, it's a little uncomfortable. And I get that it's supposed to be.
Yeah, but also at the same time, they do kind of point out that even with the best of intentions, he still did the damage and he's still guilty of the damage that he did. So even if, yes, you don't know what's going on, and even yes, there's some sort of like underground plan that makes this sort of okay, it's still not okay. Like that was to me was the point of it. Is like, yeah, he's an American spy. Yes, he's sending secret messages, but like his father-in-law said, it didn't matter. What you were doing for us was so much better than anything you could have done for them. Like I don't think that was the message. The message was even the best intentions don't get you out of this.
That's what I'm saying. Like I'm
Which is
struggling with this
again
one.
why I say this is one of those things where it's like I would rather have this conversation with someone than not tell them to see the movie just because I think they might take it wrong that way.
Well, no, I do hear where you're coming from with that. It is, but the thing is, it's like where I talk about where I'm coming from with like the recommendation. Sometimes it is because I do think like it is important and everything like that. The level of importance from this one, where I'm talking about a lot of this came through, where it comes to the understanding over what happened, what he did during World War II. No, I don't agree with. What Schindler did in World War II, that's a character that I would empathize with. Like that's where I'm really struggling with. How can I actually give give a recommendation to go basically give a study on characters that reflect human beings that I think are absolutely atrocious, and it gives them the benefit of the doubt. It's really weird for me, but I get it. This is a controversial movie. It's supposed to be a struggle. I don't know how to take this one. Like I really don't. Like that's where, yeah. Because I mean, we put it up with against one of the greatest, one of the greatest comedies of the century so far.
One could almost say that Tropic Thunder should be disqualified for being an obvious ringer. I mean, come on, man.
All right. How am I going to do this? All right, we'll get okay. Fair. I'll give it to Mother Night.
Thank you.
Yeah. It's when we get into the season finale movie fight, I am going to fight against all the things that I have brought. I am going to fight against it at that point because of everything that I said. Like, so if it winds up going more than 2 rounds into the actual finale, I'm going to lose my shit.
You and I both know none of my movies are making it to the semifinals. Come on.
I'm pretty sure I already know which one is going to win this season, but I mean, how do you compete with Stardust? Which is a weird thing to say considering what it is. But I need to go back and actually look at the movie.
Made We've been covering good movies, man. Movie fight clear.
Well, yeah, it's not my fault that like when I put out a poll, 100% of the audience said they wanted movie fights.
We should know by now that whatever our audience votes for, we should go the opposite direction. We should know that by now.
That's
it is never done as well.
That's
it's never been right.
I like our audience. All right. What do we got set up for next week? Next week for you, I have Stardust, a fantastic film starring Charlie Cox, Claire Danes, with Robert De Niro, Michelle Pfeiffer, and a whole host of other actors. What do you got for me?
Well, I remember when the only reason I saw Stardust in the first place is because I thought I was getting a bootleg copy of The Golden Compass. A friend of mine had read the book, said that it was amazing, wanted to see the movie adaptation, and so I tried to find a copy of it and ended up with the wrong movie somehow. And so maybe the Golden Compass, see if these movies actually, see if we can understand why it is that someone might confuse these movies when selling bootleg versions of them in the streets of China.
Hey, fair enough. I haven't seen The Golden Compass before, so this will be a new one. This will be a first timer for me. It's based off of the book series His Dark Materials. Is that right?
Correct. Yeah, it's the name of the series. I
Okay.
think the first book that this is based off is called Northern Lights, I think is what it was called.
Okay. All right. Well, there you go. All right. We'll see you guys. We are going to be covering the premiere of a film called The Activated Man, directed and written by Nicholas Genie. So we will be in LA covering the premiere of that next week. So we won't be doing our live, but we will still have the episode coming up on the our scheduled episode is still going to be released on Saturday. So that's our show for this week. From now until then, stay safe and stay sane, guys.
Adios.